Chapter 600. Even the divine king had died, so who dared to take the risk? Even the divine mountain range seemed to have collapsed, emitting a terrifying aura that filled the sky with divine fragments. A rain of divine blood rained down on the world. It was as if the heavens were weeping. The thick stench of blood spread throughout the entire Z-Way segmentum. Why do I feel like something big is about to happen? Flowers of blood have bloomed, dyeing half of the Z-Way segmentum red. This is the scene of the divine king's death. Even the divine king has fallen. What exactly happened in the divine mountain range? The commotion caused by this matter was too great. Some people felt that the Z-Way segmentum was about to be submerged in darkness, swallowed up by the hibernating demonic fog. It was as if it was about to become a vast expanse of ruins. Could it be that the Z-Way sect is going to be like Hokuto? The most powerful ancient star will not sink because of this? Someone shouted this sentence, causing great chaos. The races of the Z-Way segmentum were all terrified. It was as if history was overlapping. In the last universe era, the Big Dipper had turned into the star tomb Forbidden Land. If this matter was allowed to continue, the Z-Way segmentum would definitely be removed from the list of the 10 most powerful ancient stars. Of course, this was unless they could ensure that the Z-Way segmentum was intact. That way, they could still retain their position. This kind of sudden event happened too quickly. Originally, it was just a fight over the Great Dow Mountain, but now, it was as if a demon's den had been opened. Some unknown truth must have happened, and only the peak powers knew about it. Seal the divine mountain range. This news spread throughout the universe. This was not only the strongest will of the Z-Way sect, but also the determination of the Ancestral Hall. They wanted to seal the entire divine mountain range and suppress the source of darkness. Someone made a bold guess. The Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor had recklessly moved the Great Dow Mountain. It was very likely that something was suppressed under the Great Dow Mountain, and it was definitely related to the last universe era. If this sudden event could not be stopped and allowed to continue, the people would definitely be plunged into misery and suffering. The Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor would definitely bear great karma. The various factions of the Ancestral Hall began to move. This movement was truly unprecedented. Countless precious materials were taken out. This was the alliance of the peak races, and the things they took out were all relatively valuable. They prepared to seal the divine mountain range and even the bipolar star. What's in there? Many great figures were shocked. This was a substance that even the powerful beings feared. Right now, they could only seal it. They didn't want to touch these damn things. Perhaps there really were some terrifying elements in this divine spiritual mountain range. Once they acted rashly, it would lead to great chaos. In short, the immortal mountain range was basically isolated forever. All the top forces had joined forces to suppress this storm. The forces of all the major forces had withdrawn from the Z-Way segmentum. Half a year had passed, and all of them had suffered heavy losses. The main reason was that they had not gained anything. Big Dipper, divine medicine. Far away in the Big Dipper constellation, above the astral supreme treasure, Su Yin had been in seclusion for more than half a year in the celestial pool. During this time, he had been comprehending the Tao and the Tao. His main purpose was to observe the great Tao of the Big Dipper divine medicine's origin source. With a cry of surprise, Su Yin abruptly opened his eyes, which rippled with joy. A silver-robed woman appeared. She had a well-developed figure, and her snow-white skin flowed with moonlight. She gracefully walked over. When she saw the cute little girl, Bamboo Moon was shocked and moved. Even she had only seen the Big Dipper divine medicine once. The little girl was shocked. She hid behind Su Yin and poked her little head out. She looked nervously at Bamboo Moon. During this time, Su Yin and the Big Dipper divine medicine's relationship had become better and better. He would often take out good things for her to eat. She had also completely let down her guard against Su Yin. She didn't mind Su Yin observing her origin source. She even showed her abilities to Su Yin like a child. "You're here." Su Yin hurriedly stood up. He was very surprised. He looked at Bamboo Moon. Su Yin smiled. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Zhuyu, on the other hand, was quite surprised. She walked over in a graceful and elegant manner while looking at the Big Dipper divine medicine. This was the most mysterious divine medicine in the Big Dipper sect. It would almost never appear in the eyes of cultivators. But now, not only had it appeared, but it had even taken human form. How could Bamboo Moon not be surprised? She knew very well that many experts in Hokuto had wanted to accompany the Big Dipper divine medicine in the past, but without exception, they had all failed. This was the Big Dipper divine medicine's origin source. If one could accompany the Big Dipper divine medicine, it would definitely be more effective for cultivation. To prevent Bamboo Moon from scaring away the Big Dipper divine medicine, Su Yin communicated with her primordial spirit. When she heard Su Yin use the leaf of the Great Tao and the leaf of the True Dragon to curry favor with the Big Dipper divine medicine, Bamboo Moon was quite speechless. These two things were very difficult to buy even if one had the money. No wonder some ancient herbs are often lost here. Bamboo Moon's lips curled up slightly, revealing a charming smile. She took out a spirit fruit and handed it over. The Big Dipper divine medicine was very embarrassed and shy at first, but when Su Yin gestured for it to go over, it shyly hugged the spirit fruit and opened its mouth to eat it. The smile on Bamboo Moon's face became even brighter. It was really a smile that could topple cities. She was beautiful and noble, holy and elegant. She stretched out her snow-white hand and rubbed the Big Dipper divine medicine's little head. Seeing the Big Dipper divine medicine's unsatisfied look, Bamboo Moon took out some more. Su Yin watched from the side with a smile. During this period of time, he had been eating until he was poor. He had many precious ancient herbs on him, but they were all in the little guy's stomach. If the Big Dipper divine medicine ate like this, the whole of Hokuto would be eaten up. How's the divine mountain range now? Su Yin asked. He also wanted to know the situation of Bao Kai and the others. In this half a year, Bamboo Moon had not made a move. She had been watching the progress of this matter from the side. She really did pay attention to the movements of the demon region. However, the demon region's experts had suffered heavy casualties. It was the Golden Iron Bull's bloodline. It's a very strange expert. It doesn't seem like a living creature. It's more like an artifact. Bamboo Moon frowned. She recalled the experience of that period of time and said, "They've safely retreated. I told them where you went." Could it be? Su Yin was shocked. He thought of the Golden Iron Bull stone statue. Could it be that Bao Kai ran to the Ox Village and activated the stone statue's power? If that was the case, then the people of the Ox Village should be fine. They must have been taken away by Bao Kai and the others. In any case, Bao Kai and the others had safely retreated. Su Yin was completely relieved. That's right. During this period of time, the experts of the Burial Region clan have come into being. Bamboo Moon looked at Su Yin. It was as if she was looking at the young boy who had challenged the Tower of Trials. She combed the hair in front of her forehead and said with a smile, "It seems like they're here to help you." What? The experts of my clan have come into being. Su Yin was shocked. He had been in seclusion in the Heavenly Lake, isolated from the outside world. He didn't know anything about the outside world. A group of experts of the Burial Region clan washed the Starry Sky Road with blood. This matter had caused a great storm. The Ancestral Hall and the Dark Underworld clan had suffered heavy casualties. There was even a period of time where they couldn't raise their heads. This matter lasted for 1 month and 2 months before it gradually calmed down. However, the moment the Burial Region clan disappeared, they left a message. If anyone dared to cross the boundary and target the juniors of their clan, they would definitely take revenge. They would let them know how serious the consequences were. It should be Grandpa DeLong and the others. Su Yin clenched his fists. His heart was in turmoil. His clan's old experts had stood up for him, intimidating the 10,000 clans, mainly to suppress the experts who broke the rules. This matter would definitely cause a huge commotion. If the Godly Spirit Mountain Range hadn't been sealed, it would still be in an uproar. In short, now that the warriors of the Buried Region had come out, the impact of this matter would be huge. However, Bamboo Moon was sure that the Ancestral Hall would make a big move soon. The Burial Region clan could suppress the other powers, but they definitely couldn't suppress the ancestral hall. Bamboo Moon looked at the young man in front of her. She really didn't expect that after all these years, Su Yin would become a young expert who could shake the universe. She felt that it was a bit ridiculous. After all, how many years had it been? Bamboo Moon, how did you leave our Huaxiao alliance? Su Yin asked. Also, do you remember where the coordinates are? Hearing this, Bamboo Moon slightly frowned. She hesitated for a while and said, Your planet is not very far from the Big Dipper Star region. However, it is difficult to get out of there. It is not easy to go back. Back then, I was seriously injured and accidentally fell into a space turbulence. I came to Earth in a daze. Bamboo Moon recalled what had happened to her. She had almost died in the space turbulence. However, strangely, when Bamboo Moon returned, she didn't notice the space turbulence. Bamboo Moon didn't remember the specific coordinates. She only had a rough idea. Is the space turbulence serious? Su Yin frowned. Things were different from what he had expected. Could it be that the experts of the Burial Region clan had set up a backup plan? Could it be that the only way back was through the Heavenly Mountain? If that was the case, Su Yin had to find Su Dalong and the others and inform them of the seriousness of the problem. Of course, I was also injured because of the space turbulence. Bamboo Moon nodded slightly. Then she stared at Su Yin and said, Don't tell me you want to go back? Let me tell you, although you are very strong now, it will be very difficult for you to go back. Something might happen to my family. I want to go home very much, Su Yin said in a low voice. Su Yin, don't be in a hurry to go back. You can try to get the recognition of the Big Dipper Star region's Great Path origin. Bamboo Moon pondered for a while and said, Although the Big Dipper has turned into a forbidden area, the Big Dipper Star region's Great Path origin is still strong enough. It will be very helpful for your future cultivation path. Su Yin expressed his thoughts. He was worried that the Great Path imprint would affect his future cultivation path. After all, the Great Path imprint of the Big Dipper Star was too vast and terrifying. It would affect Su Yan's life. It seems that your cultivation method is very unique. Bamboo Moon smiled gently and said, Actually, it doesn't matter much. Who said that you can only get the Great Path imprint of one star region? Although the Great Path imprint has a certain impact on your cultivation, as long as your Dao heart is strong, you will definitely be able to break through and walk on your own path. Okay, I will try and see if I can succeed. Su Yin clenched his fists tightly. Once he became a star region sovereign, he would be able to control the Great Path origin power in the star region and comprehend the majesty of the star region. It would also be compatible with the profound meaning of his beginning sutra. Su Yin felt that this opportunity was right in front of him. It was reasonable to try. Maybe the Great Path imprint on Earth was not strong enough. Even if he obtained the Great Path imprint here, he could also obtain the Great Path imprint on Earth. It was killing two birds with one stone. You agreed so quickly? Bamboo Moon was surprised. Hearing this, Su Yin smiled and said, Of course I will agree if you ask. A gust of wind blew and fluttered their clothes. The two of them looked at each other and laughed happily. Chapter 601. Laughter echoed between heaven and earth. Bamboo Moon took out many good things and gave them to the Big Dipper godly medicine. The little guy had a huge appetite, and his little belly was like a bottomless pit that could absorb any medicinal properties. At the same time, Bamboo Moon explained to Su Yin, the origin godly medicine is the strongest godly medicine in the universe. The origin godly medicine that was born in the Big Dipper constellation can also absorb all kinds of ancient herbs to strengthen its origin. It's like creating an origin. Bamboo Moon's words shocked Su Yin. At the same time, he took out the broken cauldron and said to Bamboo Moon, I got a treasure. I can't tell what it is, but I think it's related to the Great Dao Mountain. It's related to the Great Dao Mountain. Bamboo Moon's beautiful face rippled with a gentle smile. She knew that Su Yin had gained a lot in the Immortal Mountain range. It was hard to estimate the value of the various resources that he had taken away. Just the resources that Su Yin found in the Forbidden Land were excavated and mined by the disciples of Hokuto. Because of this batch of resources, Bamboo Moon felt that it would be of great help to the future development of the younger generation. Follow me. Bamboo Moon left with Su Yin. The Big Dipper godly medicine also followed. The little guy was pure and had a happy smile on his face all day long. Although the Big Dipper godly medicine was afraid of other living beings and didn't dare to get close to strangers, once it gained a favorable impression, it could be accompanied by godly medicine. Even the divine king couldn't ask for more. Godly medicines were too rare, but the Big Dipper godly medicine was different. It was the origin godly medicine. With Bamboo Moon's current cultivation, if she could accompany the godly medicine for a long time, it would be of great help to Bamboo Moon. Bamboo Moon's residence was on this star. This was the core area of Hokuto. Some dojos were open there, and some old antiques of Hokuto were in seclusion on this star. Su Yin even discovered that some regions contained astonishing space-time energy that was tightly sealed, as if they were isolated from the rest of the world. Su Yin, these are the places where the old men of Hokuto secluded themselves. Bamboo Moon explained, usually, those who have made great contributions to Hokuto and have a high level of cultivation can enter these space-time caves. This kind of space-time cave abode was created by a mighty figure of my sect in ancient times. As long as you enter it, you can slow down your aging. Just this point alone was enough to make the old cultivator, whose lifespan was about to dry up, feel as if he had obtained a priceless treasure. Not only would he be able to live a little longer, but he would also be able to live on and guard Hokuto. When Hokuto's calamity arrived, he would be able to display his final glory. Or perhaps it was better to say that one really could be lucky enough to break through the bottleneck. However, it was extremely difficult. After all, sealing one's life force source would make one's cultivation speed extremely slow. That was because the ancient road of space-time was cut off from the rest of the world, and the great Tao did not exist. So this is the foundation. Su Yin nodded solemnly. The various peak forces definitely had this kind of foundation, especially the forces that controlled the most powerful life ancient star. Their methods were naturally even more powerful. Soon, they arrived at Bamboo Moon's residence. This place was secluded, and moonlight filled the air. Clouds and mist rose, and the atmosphere was tranquil and auspicious. Looking inside, one could see a moon palace suffused with divine splendor and solemn. This was Bamboo Moon's dojo, and the underground was filled with the aura of dragon veins. This was a rare starry sky dragon vein, and could also be called a Great Tao dragon vein. Although it was somewhat inferior to the Big Dipper ancestral vein, this kind of dragon vein could only be encountered and not sought. They walked all the way into the depths of the Moon Palace. Some medicinal fields were cultivated around the Moon Palace, and all kinds of rare treasured medicines were planted there. There was even an eye-catching silver treasure medicine that flowed with moonlight. It bore a fruit that was shaped like a crescent moon. The fruit contained pure divine might, and there were no great Tao fluctuations. However, this crescent-shaped fruit contained incomparably pure divine might. Su Yin carefully examined it, but he could not recognize what kind of fruit it was. This is the silver moon fruit. Bamboo Moon's body was radiant, holy and otherworldly, graceful and elegant. She smiled gently. It is a kind of rare sacred medicine that can heal injuries and also increase divine power. Back then, I spent a lot of effort to buy it. An auction that can auction sacred medicine must be very high class. Su Yin was speechless. Of course. Bamboo Moon nodded and said, this kind of auction is very rare. There are many treasures, all of which are abundant in the Chaos Ruins. Generally speaking, this kind of auction is only qualified for gods. I also went because of my special status. Chaos Ruins. Su Yin frowned and could not help but ask, back then, you were so seriously injured. Who did it? Hearing this, Bamboo Moon's face changed slightly. She hesitated for a moment and said, don't ask about that. It has been so many years, and I have almost forgotten. Was it an expert in the Chaos Ruins? Su Yin clenched his fist. Bamboo Moon was not willing to mention it, and did not even settle the score. This meant that the other party had a great background. Otherwise, the old Star Lord would definitely stand up for Bamboo Moon. Even if the experts of the peak forces targeted Bamboo Moon, Hokuto would not let it go. After all, Bamboo Moon was the Star Lord of Big Dipper. Her identity was different. Even the Star Lord of Big Dipper dared to kill her. The other party's background was especially shocking. When you have the strength, I will tell you. Bamboo Moon just smiled and looked at the Big Dipper Divine Medicine who was staring at the silver moon fruit. She chuckled and said, "This can't be eaten. It is not ripe yet." The little girl smiled shyly and stared with her big silver eyes. Her smile was innocent and bright. Just like that, the three of them entered the Moon Palace. Moonlight flowed inside. The Moon Palace belonged to an ancient aura that could gather the essence of moonlight. Suyin was more curious about Bamboo Moon's physique. "Let me see what this thing is." Suyin had already opened the broken cauldron. When the seed of fortune floated out, the Big Dipper Divine Medicine seemed to be frightened and hurriedly retreated. It was as if it was very afraid of the seed of fortune. Under Bamboo Moon's gaze, the seed of fortune glowed on its own and surged with a devouring power that surged towards the Big Dipper Divine Medicine. However, it was still a divine medicine of origin. At the moment when it was injured, the power of origin spread and temporarily blocked the power of the seed of fortune. Suyin quickly acted and used the broken cauldron to seal the seed of fortune. He was really afraid that the seed of fortune would act recklessly. He had seen the power of the seed of fortune. It could even forcefully devour the tree of Tao. If it was allowed to continue like this, the Big Dipper Divine Medicine's origin might be greatly damaged. This treasure, Bamboo Moon was moved. Her eyes were blazing like two bright moons, shining with snow-white radiance. At the same time, Bamboo Moon's sleeping aura rose sharply. She was now a divine spirit. That terrifying aura was like that of a giant dragon, filled with an incomparably powerful aura. Even Suyin felt suffocated. He was suppressed by Zhu Yu's explosive strength to the point that he could not breathe. He saw Zhu Yu's slender body glowing as a strange phenomenon appear behind her. Moons appeared in the primal chaos, accompanied by the chanting of sutras. This was the power of the Big Dipper scripture. It was profound and unfathomable. Bamboo Moon seemed to be standing in a vast starry field. Her magic power was overflowing, and at the moment when she recovered to the extreme, it was as if the moon had fallen from the blue sky and filled the whole world. Star Moon physique. Suyin was moved. After the moon fell from the blue sky, the world trembled and stars emerged. The universe's great stars revolved around Bamboo Moon. She was like a goddess who suppressed the sea of stars. She was like the moon in the sky, illuminating the starry sky. This was a very special physique, the Star Moon physique. It gathered the power of the stars and the moon, and its battle prowess was abnormally strong. It was no wonder that Bamboo Moon could suppress the 7 palace masters. At that time, Bamboo Moon was already a peerless talent, not to mention that she had cultivated the Big Dipper scripture. She was already a famous expert in the realm of divine spirits. Bamboo Moon has found the silver moon fruit, but she is still missing the star fruit. It is said that this fruit is a kind of divine medicine nurtured by the life ancient star. It is very rare and precious. If the silver moon fruit is combined with the star fruit, it will definitely perfect Bamboo Moon's physique. With her physique, the fruit's value might not be inferior to divine medicine. Suyin kept in mind, if he could find a star fruit one day, he would do everything he could to get it. In Bamboo Moon's eyes, this seed of fortune substance was even more dazzling and shocking. It made Bamboo Moon pale in fright. It was like an endless amount of Tao power had gathered in a cauldron, turning into a unique universe. What a terrifying treasure! Bamboo Moon restrained her aura. She couldn't see through this thing, as it contained too much power. "You didn't see it?" Suyin was shocked and said, "What is the origin of this thing? I took the risk to snatch it from the Sun Dome that year." "You're really brave." Bamboo Moon's countenance was as beautiful as a flower and as pure as the moon. In the Moon Palace, she looked even more pure and holy. She smiled and said, However, it's natural to fight for this kind of fortune. Luckily, they can't see through it. If they did, I'm afraid that no one would be able to save you in the godly mountain range. What? Su Yin was shocked. I can't see through this thing. Since you have it, it means that it is fated to be with you. Bamboo Moon pondered for a while and said, don't show this thing to others. You might not need it now, but it will definitely come in handy in the future. Seems like I've hit the jackpot. Su Yin laughed and told her about his encounter with the ancient bronze tree. Bamboo Moon's expression changed slightly. You've encountered many things. It seems like the godly mountain range is not simple. The ancient bronze tree can produce a divine weapon? Even I have never heard of such a tree. Su Yin took out the golden bough and handed it over to Bamboo Moon. Incredible. Her jade-like hand touched the bough and felt the pure energy contained within. It even contained a lot of Su Yin's qi. She was astonished and said, this bough could be said to be nurtured by heaven and earth. In the hands of the divine king, he only needs to inscribe the power of the great Tao to turn it into the divine king's bough. Take your time to nurture this bough. It can help you for a long time. Bamboo Moon frowned. Su Yin said that there was something even stronger. This shocked her. How many years would it take for a supreme treasure nurtured by heaven and earth to be nurtured? It was even more terrifying than the golden bough. Bamboo Moon was in a daze. If the news of the ancient bronze tree spread out, even the mighty figures would go crazy to seize it. At this moment, Su Yin was very serious. He took out 2 formulas and handed them over to Bamboo Moon. This thing. Bamboo Moon looked at Su Yin after studying them. She was somewhat absent-minded. Su Yin had given her enough shock today. The contents of these formulas were truly astonishing. If they spread out, it would cause a sensation in the vast cosmos. Even the peak races would pay an astronomical price to buy them. The Tao Body Pill and the Little Divine King Pill were secrets of the Ancestral Hall. The Little Divine King Pill, in particular, was truly terrifying and heaven-defying. The Ancestral Hall had Ingia for generations. They would use the Little Divine King Pill to accumulate a powerful foundation. The Ancestral Hall had lost the Enlightenment Stone and the Little Divine King Pill. Add to that the massacre on the Starry Sky Path. The impact of this matter was too terrifying. A group of old experts from the burial realm had come into being once again. It could be said that the impact was very bad. The Ancestral Hall's prestige had been greatly damaged. After all, Su Yin was still alive even after the mighty figures had taken action. Big news. The Ancestral Hall's mighty figures have issued a decree. They've taken out the divine king weapon of the 3 sects and offered a reward for Su Yin's whereabouts. Su Yin isn't dead. He's still alive. A generation of young supremes has risen. They originated from the burial realm and once stood up for Su Yin and massacred the Starry Sky Path. May I ask where Su Yin is? This matter caused a boundless and terrifying storm. The divine king weapon of the 3 sects was enough to make even the gods jealous. As long as one provided Su Yin's whereabouts, they would be able to obtain it. This was the divine king weapon that could suppress the fate of a race. Chapter 602. An Almighty had issued a decree offering a bounty for Su Yin's whereabouts. This matter had a huge impact. It was rumored that the experts from the Ancestral Hall, who had killed their way out of the Divine Mountain Range, were truly enraged. They were frantically searching for the whereabouts of the buried region's old soldiers, intending to carry out a bloody revenge. The Starry Sky Road had been bathed in blood. This matter had a terrible impact. Moreover, there had been one major event after another during this time. Many of the Ancestral Hall's old antiques had come out into the world, releasing ferocious, murderous cries, declaring that they would completely cripple the Buried Region's clan. However, no one knew where Su Yin was. The Buried Region's old experts had even caused the Starry Sky Road to be dyed red with blood. This was enough to shock the world. Even if someone did find Su Yin, they would have to consider whether they had the strength to withstand the Buried Region's wrath. The Ancestral Hall is so mighty. This matter spread to the Big Dipper starfield. When Tao Xingyang learned of this matter, he immediately ordered that all information about Su Yin be sealed. Not even the slightest bit of information could be leaked. The ancestral hall was currently in a fit of anger. They absolutely could not let them know of Su Yan's whereabouts. Time slowly passed. Su Yin had been cultivating in Bamboo, Moon's moon palace. Every month, his harvest was great. Bamboo Moon's knowledge were not something an ordinary person could compare to. Su Yin wanted to prove his Tao and even told Bamboo Moon that he had yet to do so. This caused Bamboo Moon to be extremely shocked. She did her best to help Su Yin perfect his Tao path. With the Lord of Big Dipper's unreserved guidance, Su Yan's progress was extremely fast. Moreover, Su Yin had the enlightenment stone and the branch of the great Tao tree. His progress was rapid, and he read a large number of Hokuto's great Tao scriptures. The scriptures of the Zhang clan are indeed extraordinary. Su Yan's learning was very messy, and he had dabbled in all aspects. However, the origin scripture was powerful. As Su Yin studied it, the power of the mother scripture became more and more apparent. The mother scripture could be said to be the head of all scriptures. It could contain endless knowledge and merge into one furnace. Of course, without Bamboo Moon's patient guidance, Su Yin wouldn't be able to improve so quickly. Big Dipper divine medicine wasn't just for decoration. Bamboo Moon's progress was also great. Buzz. The enlightenment stone was smooth and translucent. It emitted waves of the great Tao that penetrated Su Yan's treasure body. Su Yan's appearance was dignified like a divine statue that stood towering in the starry sky, and his imposing aura became even more grand. He was like an immortal cave of the grand Tao that was suffused with an aura of the grand Tao that was thick like an abyss. With Tao's assessed Su Yan's body glowed. His body was like the four poles of the universe, leading to the edge of the universe. It was as if the universe was revolving in his body, revealing the profundity of the beginning of all things. Tao begets one begets two, three begets all things. The ancient chanting spread throughout the Moon Palace. The interior of the Moon Palace was even more sacred and magnificent. Golden lotuses of the great Tao covered the ground, swaying gently. They had different shapes. Some were like small bells, some were like small towers, some were like small cauldrons, some were like true dragons, and some were like vermilion birds. This was the phenomenon of Tao enlightenment. It was very extraordinary. The branches of the great Tao tree scattered the light of the great Tao. Hundreds of leaves glowed and filled the air with clear splendor. Su Yin sat cross-legged on the enlightenment stone. He didn't merge with the great Tao of heaven and earth, nor did he comprehend any of the predecessors' records. He was just sorting out what he had learned. His body was constantly vibrating with terrifying radiance. During this process, Su Yin found that his body was becoming stronger and stronger. It was as if it had turned into an immortal golden body. With the addition of Tao comprehension, the degree of evolution of the initial sutra increased. Su Yin was truly like a universe that emitted a majestic aura that could suppress the heavens and the earth. It was like an abyss that was boundless, extremely vast, and filled with a sense of oppression. A year had passed. Since the end of the Divine Mountain Range, a year and a half had passed quietly. A year's time was like a small reincarnation cycle. Su Yan's majestic aura was gradually withdrawn. He seemed to have turned into a deity. His white robe was otherworldly, exuding an ethereal aura that was faintly discernible in the void. It's about time. The aura in Su Yan's body dissipated like a tide. His eyes suddenly opened. When he turned around and looked into the distance, he saw an immeasurable space that was filled with the aura of the divine path. Su Yan looked into the distance and saw Bamboo Moon. She seemed to be high and mighty, as if she were about to soar to the end of the universe and become a star region's firmament. That was a peerless and terrifying energy wave. It fell from the sky and filled the entire Moon Palace. Bamboo Moon seemed to have turned into the ruler of the Moon Palace. Although she was silent, the shocking divine path energy in her body made the world dim. Is Bamboo Moon about to break through? Su Yin was shocked. It must be because of the help of the Big Dipper divine medicine. Su Yin had also given Bamboo Moon 2 leaves of the Great Tao, which were in line with her Taoan law. If Bamboo Moon really broke through, the meaning would be completely different. She would be a god of heaven, incomparably powerful and terrifying. Gods were just gods, but heavenly gods were even stronger and more terrifying. They could easily erupt with super powerful combat strength. The Divine King was the king of gods. It was a terrifying transformation from a god to a heavenly god. A heavenly god was qualified to establish a great sect. Back then, Su Yin killed Zhu Liang, who was a heavenly god. There weren't many heavenly god realm experts in the Peak clans. Once they became heavenly god realm experts, they would be able to gather the power of the domain and control the power of the origin of the world domain. Once a heavenly god realm expert burst out, they could control a life ancient star in just a blink of an eye. Of course, they couldn't control the strongest life ancient star. Su Yin didn't dare to disturb Bamboo Moon. He quietly retreated. The moment he appeared outside the Moon Palace, he saw Tao Zhengyang from afar. Tao Zhengyang seemed to have been waiting here for some time. When Bamboo Moon was in seclusion, she had arranged many things. She was worried that she would be in seclusion for too long. Su Yin, come with me. Tao Zhengyang smiled and said, Supreme Big Dipper, how many years has it been since you appeared? I really hope you can succeed. Whether it's for you or for our Hokuto, it will be a great help. What do you mean? Su Yin asked. Supreme Big Dipper, you're not the only one who will benefit. Tao Zhengyang said solemnly. Once you obtain the approval of the Big Dipper's origin, you can also use the origin of the Big Dipper. Our Hokuto has a supreme treasure, the Big Dipper Tower. That's it. Su Yin quickly recalled the Big Dipper Tower that he had once explored. It wasn't just a testing ground, it was also a kind of artifact. The Big Dipper Tower is Hokuto's strongest origin treasure. Tao Zhengyang said proudly. You should know about the banners of demons. Although the Big Dipper Tower can't be compared to the banners of demons, if Hokuto's origin power is used to power the Big Dipper Tower, then the Big Dipper Tower will also be peerless and terrifying. It will once again become the supreme treasure of our sect. Now is a time of trouble, and Hokuto needs a strong foundation to protect it. Understand? Su Yin nodded. Actually, it wasn't just that. After all, if he could use the origin power, he might be able to gather some paradises. With Su Yin's special skills, it would be of great use. Su Yin was very confident in obtaining the approval of the Big Dipper's origin. The godly medicine had accompanied him for a year, and Su Yin knew a lot about the changes of the origin power of the godly medicine. He felt that with his current cultivation, it shouldn't be too difficult. However, to obtain the origin power of the Big Dipper, he had to go to the Big Dipper. Tao Zhengyang had already made arrangements. He brought Su Yin across the Big Dipper silently, using a spatial array to go to the Big Dipper. This was once the most powerful ancient planet with the most powerful life forms, and it had been open for many years. The leakage of the Big Dipper's power and the formation of the origin power caused the Big Dipper to be extremely powerful now. This place had already become a holy land for enlightenment. Many of Hokuto's experts comprehended the Big Dipper. There were even many experts from other domains who came to occupy a place here. However, in this year, the young disciples of Hokuto had returned, and they could be said to be proud and elated. They had beaten the geniuses of the various races in the nearby starfields. In this year, Hokuto's prestige had increased greatly, overshadowing the influence of the surrounding starfields. It could be said that Hokuto was slowly rising. It was worth mentioning that the Big Dipper Scripture Pavilion had been opened. Bamboo Moon had successfully cultivated the Big Dipper Scripture and successfully opened the Big Dipper Scripture Pavilion, bringing out all the inheritances inside. Hokuto's foundation had also become stronger. Big Dipper City was even more lively, and people came and went in an endless stream. Various races traded goods here. Now that the city was under the control of Hokuto, just the taxes collected from the various shops in the city every month was a huge sum. This was the benefit of a powerful race. Big Dipper City was originally built by Hokuto, and now it could be said to have returned to its rightful owner. Here it is. Tao Xingyang brought Su Yin all the way to the depths of the Big Dipper. There was an ancient array platform that shone brightly. It looked like an altar that was densely covered with mysterious runes. This is... Su Yin looked at the altar and felt that it was like a giant pillar that supported the heavens, leading to the peak of the Big Dipper. Hearing this, Tao Xingyang smiled and said, "This ancient artifact is only used by the most outstanding disciples of Hokuto in every era. This is because the former Big Dipper Supreme cut off a portion of the Big Dipper's divine origin and forged it. As long as you sit on it, your comprehension of the Big Dipper's origin will be doubled with half the effort." Su Yin was moved. This was an amazing artifact. This meant that the old Big Dipper was very supportive of Su Yin. "Elder, I can only be considered half a disciple of Hokuto. With so many troubles on my own, are you really not worried about letting me obtain the Big Dipper Supreme title?" Su Yin was silent. "Even if you don't take it away, there will still be other powerhouses coveting it. In recent years, there have been many Ingjie from the Outer Realms coveting the Big Dipper Supreme title." Tao Xingyang's eyes flashed with killing intent as he said, "To be honest, I'm always on tenterhooks. I'm really worried that they will take it away. Moreover, don't all powerhouses and peak powerhouses go through the baptism of blood and fire to grow to this level? Moreover, Su Yin, you have the qualifications you have now because you killed your way to it." Tao Xingyang smiled faintly and said, "So what if you get it? You should know that there are many Ingjie from the Outer Realms, and even the legacy disciples of the peak powerhouses, who are also trying to obtain the supreme title on Big Dipper. I will succeed." Chapter 603. Since ancient times, proving one's Tao had stumped billions of living beings in the cultivation world. Only by crossing over and proving the great Tao of heaven and earth could one become a true expert and roam the various star fields. Under the great Tao, everyone was an ant. Only by crossing over could one be called a true expert. A true expert of the great Tao had to merge with the Tao and comprehend the profound meaning of the universe. Only then could one walk further in the future. Just this path alone was enough to stumble the majority of cultivators. Even those who were qualified to prove their Tao would choose a special world. After all, it contained a stronger universe environment and the great Tao of heaven and earth. By merging with it and comprehending the profound meaning of the great Tao of heaven and earth, one would stand at a higher position in the great Tao realm. There were also cultivators who would choose the great Tao imprints left behind by predecessors and comprehend what they had learned. This path would allow one to grow faster, but had greater limitations. Of course, for some divine king imprints or almighty imprints, the Ingjie of the various peak races would fight to the death for them. There was also a great Tao origin imprint, a great Tao imprint that originated from a star field. There were strong and weak star fields. The weaker star fields had limited Tao techniques and had less room for growth. The stronger the star field, the stronger the great Tao imprint. This meant that it would grow with the star field. So how could it not be strong? This was especially true for star fields that existed in the universe. By comprehending the star field's great Tao to the extreme, one could comprehend the more terrifying, profound meaning of the universe. As for the strongest ancient life stars, those were imprints that were at the pinnacle of creation. They were the paths of a true expert. Who didn't want to have such an opportunity in the past? However, those who could obtain it were few and far between. The Big Dipper was once one of the strongest ancient life stars. Although it had turned into a star tomb forbidden zone, countless experts from various races had their eyes on it. There would often be some uninvited guests who wanted to snatch the Big Dipper imprint. Some have failed. This Big Dipper imprint is too difficult to obtain. Could it be because the Big Dipper has turned into a forbidden zone, and there's some energy factors that greatly increase the difficulty? Who knows? This is already the 5th wave of people from my race. My race has spent too much on the Big Dipper imprint. Each time, we have to use enlightenment elixirs that enhance spiritual comprehension. Unfortunately, we still fail. Some forces in the Big Dipper city were discussing. They all wanted their disciples to obtain the Big Dipper imprint. This caused the Hokuto elder who passed by to sneer. How could the Big Dipper imprint be so easy to obtain? Although the Big Dipper had turned into a forbidden zone, it was once the most powerful ancient star with life forms. Even forces like the Jiang sect would find it difficult to cultivate a Star Realm Lord. They would need a peerless body, a great power of understanding, a terrifying mind power, and an extraordinary willpower. The difficulty was so great that it was hard to imagine that this was the true Ingjia who had been chosen from millions upon millions of living beings. Therefore, it was extremely difficult to obtain the Big Dipper seal. Otherwise, it wouldn't have remained unobtainable for so many years. More importantly, the Big Dipper seal could only be obtained by the natives of the Big Dipper starfield or the experts who cultivated Hokuto's ancestral scripture. After all, those scriptures were created by the experts of Hokuto, who had gradually merged with the Great Tao of Origin. They were very suitable for the Great Tao of Origin. I wonder when Su Yin will succeed. It's already been 3 months. He's been sitting on the altar. If it weren't for the strong life force in his body, I would have thought that Su Yin had given up. This matter can't be rushed. There are many experts who have spent 3 to 5 years, and those are just ordinary starfields. Even if Su Yin fails, it will be a valuable experience for him. Tao Xingyang was still able to remain calm. Su Yin had been sitting there for 3 months. His body was rippling with vigorous life force, but his spiritual will seemed to have left his body and soared into the sky. With the help of the ancient altar, he seemed to have stepped on a pedal and soared into the sky. It was as if he had entered the vast origin of the universe and entered a spiritual world full of majestic pressure. What was this? This was the origin power of the Big Dipper. It was boundless and turbulent. Su Yan's spiritual was like a small boat, sailing on the turbulent ocean. The process was very dangerous, but Su Yan's spiritual will was extremely strong. He had experienced countless bloody battles, encountered the Divine King, and encountered the fatal attacks of supreme experts. What kind of situation had he not seen before? Now, in this kind of environment, Su Yin unleashed his charging aura. Even in the process of charging, Su Yin observed the vast origin sea. The deeper he went, the greater Su Yan's gains. Because all of this was similar to the Big Dipper divine medicine, Su Yin was like a tiger that had grown wings. His speed increased as he charged towards the peak. In fact, even if he failed in this process, his gains were great. After all, he had observed the origin power of the universe. It's been 2 months. It's already been half a year. This place was concealed by a large array. Several Hokuto elders were overseeing it, constantly paying attention to Su Yan's changes. In this half a year, they were extremely anxious and wanted to know the results immediately. No one could say for sure if he would succeed. Tao Xingyang took a deep breath and said, "It's been half a year. It should be about time, right? Even if he fails, the results will be clear after a period of time." For half a year, Su Yan's spiritual will have been separated from his body. It was like he had transformed into a heavenly pung, piercing through the clouds and mist. He roamed the sea filled with difficulties, experiencing wind, frost, rain, and the bombardment of huge waves. He had to maintain his strongest state at all times, steadfast in his Tao heart, and erupt with the fiercest charge. This kind of test was especially astonishing. It was an extremely strong test of one's Tao and Dharma. Su Yin had made great progress in this half a year. Now that he was roaming the origin sea, it was a test and confirmation of what he had learned. There were many times when he encountered difficulties. However, Su Yin still barged in again and again. After half a year, his spiritual will had become even stronger. Even the soul chi in his primordial spirit had become even more abundant and sparkling, refining the spirit into the void. Su Yan's void realm primordial spirit was infinitely enlarged. It was as if he was sitting cross-legged in the future, reciting the Sutra of the future, refining the spirit into the void, refining the void into the Tao. As long as Su Yin could cross the barrier, his primordial spirit would also be able to derive the power of the great Tao. There were very few great Tao realm cultivators who could cultivate to this stage. After all, this was especially difficult. One had to experience the test of the great Tao. If one was not careful, they would die. 99% of them were in the God realm, cultivating a primordial spirit that contained the great Tao. Gods were primordial spirits. Wang. Su Yan's forehead was translucent and continued to shine. It was as if a great Buddha was sitting cross-legged. The deafening sound of Buddhist scriptures rumbled, shaking one's divine soul and causing one's soul to scatter. Guys, look! Su Yan's primordial spirit isn't simple. Adoyan exclaimed. This was because at first he had been silent in the power of Su Yan's primordial spirit. In fact, he even felt like he was going to be converted by Su Yan. He was going to be silent for the rest of his life, along with the recitation of Su Yan's primordial spirit. The few of you have been silent for 3 days and 3 nights. Tao Xingyang spoke. Although someone as strong as him wasn't disturbed, he also felt like he was going to be shaken by the sutra that Su Yan's primordial spirit was reciting. This surprised and delighted Tao Xingyang. Su Yan's control of the primordial spirit domain was really at the peak. What? Many elders let out trembling voices. Cold sweat broke out on their backs. If they were facing off against Su Yin just now, they would have been instantly killed by Su Yin. How domineering and terrifying was this? Tao Xingyang saw with his own eyes that Su Yan's primordial spirit was as resplendent as the sun of Buddhism. Buddhist light radiated in all directions, illuminating the heavens. Accompanied by the majestic sound of Buddhist scriptures, it was as if 3,000 ancient Buddhas were chanting in unison. This was especially terrifying and shocking. This meant that Su Yan's comprehension and learning in his journey had been verified by his primordial spirit. This was why his primordial spirit was becoming increasingly powerful and shocking. It had a kind of metamorphosis and was showing signs of containing the great Tao. How many great Tao realm cultivators in the world can refine the void and merge the Tao? Tao Xingyang thought to himself, Su Yan's potential is really powerful and heaven-defying. Our Hokuto will help him tide over this crisis and perfect his foundation. In the future, Su Yan might really be able to soar into the sky. However, this ancestral hall and the dark underworld race aren't to be trifled with. I really don't know what will happen to him in the future. Su Yan's primordial spirit was showing signs of merging the Tao. His primordial spirit was actually showing signs of burning. Su Yan's appearance was solemn and dignified. It was as if he had transformed into a glazed golden body. His figure was becoming more and more blurry. Su Yan was showing signs of disappearing. Could it be that he's about to succeed? Tao Xingyang's expression changed. He could faintly sense that Su Yan seemed to have disappeared. This wasn't really disappearing. Instead, it was starting to merge with the source of the star domain. This was merging the Tao, merging with the source of heaven and earth. With one's spirit and will, one could withstand the layers of tests and eventually merge with the great Tao of heaven and earth. One could become a supreme being of the star domain and receive the baptism of the star domain's source. Wang, his spirit and will had already erupted to the extreme. He let out a long roar. Above the boundless great Tao ocean, his spirit and will suddenly collided, and a terrifying source of power emanated. Su Yan transformed his Tao into a technique. His spirit and will seemed to outline a vast great Tao map of the star domain. The moment it spread out, it was magnificent and vast. This great Tao map seemed to cover the boundless ocean. There were tens of thousands of Tao marks on the Tao map, and strange phenomena appeared one after another. Various cosmic bodies appeared one after another. The Big Dipper constellation mainly cultivated the power of the stars. This was also the great Tao origin power of the Big Dipper constellation. Now, Su Yan had erupted with all his understanding and knowledge. He had evolved the great Tao map of the star domain and covered the entire Big Dipper constellation. This was a kind of terrifying boldness and determination. It was as if the birth of a starry sky tyrant body. Boom! Su Yin seemed to have opened the door to a great world. The moment the Tao map revolved, his body merged with the source, which was equivalent to merging with the entire Big Dipper constellation. At this moment, Su Yan's heart was infinitely big. His aura swallowed the heavens, and he was boundlessly imposing. His body was blazing to the extreme. The entire Big Dipper constellation shone brightly. Auspicious signs descended from the heavens. Billions of purple chi streaked across the sky, and a vast great Tao current rolled down. Even the Big Dipper constellation shone. The great Tao of the Big Dipper shook along with it. It was like a resounding yellow bell that resounded throughout the entire Big Dipper constellation. This was like a form of congratulations. Congratulations on the birth of the Big Dipper Supreme. Oh my God. Chapter 604. Who obtained the Big Dipper Supremacy title? Why didn't we receive any news beforehand? Could it be that it's not an expert from Hokuto, but an expert from the outer regions? It's hard to say. This matter came too suddenly. Within the Big Dipper starfield, the leaders of the various aristocratic families were astonished. This matter was too big and related to the future of the Big Dipper starfield. It could even be said that it was related to every family. If they had known who it was beforehand, they would have made friends with him beforehand. After all, the Big Dipper starfield was rich in real estate. If they really offended someone they shouldn't, once their entire clan was kicked out of the Big Dipper starfield, they wouldn't have anywhere to cry. Moreover, this wasn't a rare occurrence. The Big Dipper supremacy is about to be born. Many clan leaders were dumbfounded as they muttered to themselves. They suddenly recalled a person, Shueguan, whose name shook the Big Dipper starfield in the past. Even the Big Dipper starfield's lord dared to pursue Li. Even before he achieved his Tao, there were people who called him the Big Dipper supremacy. In the vast universe, there was news that Shueguan had been killed. This matter caused great waves in the Big Dipper starfield. Back then, Shueguan and Su Yan had gone on expedition. Not many people were optimistic about Su Yan's chances. In the end, Su Yan came later and overtook him. He slaughtered his way through the godly mountain range, killing young giants one after another and solidifying his position. Even the change in the godly mountain range was caused by Su Yan. Even the Almighty wanted to suppress Su Yan. One could imagine how important Su Yan was. Even the Big Dipper starfield was where Su Yan had set off. Therefore, the current Su Yan could be considered a legend in the Big Dipper starfield. The Big Dipper supremacy has been born. The entire Hokuto was shaken. Many experts who were in seclusion came out one after another. They were all shocked. Who exactly had obtained the title of supremacy? Could it be that an expert from the outer regions had obtained it? The commotion caused by this matter was too terrifying. Even Hokuto's old fogies came out of seclusion in large numbers. The one who was most concerned about who the great Northern Dipper sovereign was of course, Hokuto. Many of the experts had gloomy expressions on their faces. It would be a huge blow to Hokuto if it was snatched away by a foreign expert. Champion of our race. Everyone in the Shuef family howled in grief. All of them let out heart-wrenching cries. Once upon a time, there was a Shueguan in the family. His name shook the entire Big Dipper star region and spread across the vast universe. He could even be mentioned in the same breath as the Sun Dome, the supreme of star region. However, Shueguan was already dead. When news of this reached the Shuef family, some members of the Shuef family still couldn't believe that a dual supreme physique like Shueguan would be killed by Su Yan. This was something they couldn't accept. 2 years had passed, and the storm had come to an end. Everyone in the Shuef family kept a low profile, fearing that the enemies they had provoked would come to settle accounts with them. Now that the great Northern Dipper sovereign had appeared, everyone in the Shuef family was screaming. It should have been Shueguan's, but now it had fallen into the hands of someone else. Who would be willing to accept this? Buzz! The vast Big Dipper star region was home to billions of creatures. There were thousands of ancient planets with life. Now, the vast Big Dipper star region was glowing, surging with the aura of the origin of the great Tao, shocking the surrounding hundreds of star regions. The once pinnacle star region seemed to be glowing at the moment. Due to the emergence of the great northern Dipper sovereign, the star region's origin had appeared, crushing the surrounding hundreds of star regions and making them dim in comparison. It was as if a starry sky dragon was awakening. For a moment, the 100-star regions were in an uproar. The star lords of the various star regions were extremely shaken. They could clearly feel that the great northern Dipper star region's origin power far exceeded that of their star regions. Quick, investigate the birth of the great northern Dipper star region's great northern Dipper star region. Find out who it is. Report. The great northern Dipper star region's great Tao of origin has appeared. This is the sign of the birth of the great northern Dipper sovereign. Hurry up and inform the main family. The great northern Dipper star region still has a pinnacle great Tao of origin. The new great northern Dipper sovereign shouldn't be underestimated. It's very likely that an expert whose name will shake the universe will emerge. Hundreds of star regions were in chaos. The birth of the great northern Dipper sovereign caused an uproar in the star regions one after another. Everyone could feel that the powerful great Tao of origin in the Big Dipper star region was gradually rising like a giant dragon in the starry sky. When the great Tao of origin appeared, the entire Big Dipper star region was filled with billions of rays of auspicious light. Purple chi filled the sky, and the sound of Tao rumbled. One ancient planet after another glowed. The world seemed to have given birth to enlightenment materials. Many cultivators who were trapped in the quasi-Tao state suddenly understood the great Tao and began to break through. For a moment, the great Tao phenomenon rose inside the Big Dipper star region. Many experts were breaking through. They were all local creatures who had stepped into a brand new realm. I've broken through. Ha ha. Thank the heavens for their mercy. Thank you, great northern Dipper sovereign. Ha ha. An old cultivator roared. His lifespan was about to dry up, but he had broken through at this juncture. The great northern Dipper sovereign has been born. The great Tao of the Big Dipper star region covers the sky. Hurry up and comprehend the great Tao. Cultivate and break through. Countless people were roaring, calling out to all the disciples of their clans. Even if they couldn't comprehend the great Tao of origin, they could still benefit from it. Especially in Hokuto, the spirit mountains shone, and the Tao platforms shone brightly. It was as if the vast, great Tao of origin was pouring down, cleansing the huge Tao field layer by layer. In the process, the divine energy in the Tao field surged. Medicinal herbs grew wildly, and the bodies of the disciples glowed. They were baptized, and each of them received great benefits. There is no need to say more about the cultivators who broke through. This is a gift from the Big Dipper star region. An elder muttered to himself. His old body had recovered a lot of life force. Hokuto had been established in the Big Dipper star region for countless years. This was a gift of great significance. He could feel that the spiritual essence of the sect had risen sharply. The great stars in the universe were absorbing the endless source of life. Even the heavenly lake was breathing fiercely, absorbing vast amounts of spiritual essence and refining it into divine liquid. Bamboo Moon, who was in seclusion, woke up slightly when the great Tao of origin of the universe filled the sky. A smile appeared on her face as she comprehended the unlimited awakening of the great Tao of origin. Her path to breaking through had received a huge layer of protection. The changes in the Big Dipper star region were directly related to Su Yan. Su Yan's body had merged with the Tao. It could be said that he had become one with the entire Big Dipper star region. At this moment, he had awakened along with the Big Dipper star region. Who is it? The powerhouses from the outer regions felt insulted. They had spent so much time and effort without success. But now someone had succeeded in obtaining the supreme imprint. They were incomparably furious, but they couldn't interfere now. Unless a powerhouse with remarkable abilities appeared and interfered with the great Tao of origin of the universe to stop Su Yan from merging with the great Tao of heaven and earth, then it could be interrupted. But this was Hokuto's matter. At present, very few people knew that it was Su Yan. Is this the evolution process of a star region? Yen had merged with the great Tao of origin of the Big Dipper star region. He was constantly sensing the changes in the Big Dipper star region. When the great Tao of origin began to awaken, he was constantly paying attention. It was as if he was watching a peak-level powerhouse who had created the world slowly awaken from a deep slumber. This was the evolution of the great Tao of star region. It was supreme and explained the peak of profound meaning. The voice of the great Tao transmitted in his ears. Millions of heavenly marks appeared in his eyes. Endless traces intertwined and evolved, turning into stars that rumbled and revolved. After the precipitation of time, they began to bloom with life. This was like the process of a star region's formation. This process was extremely profound and complex, but it was completely branded into Yan's soul. Once he obtained a great Tao imprint, he would never forget it. At a critical moment, it could erupt and help him break through. The entire Big Dipper star region was shining. The hidden great Tao of origin was gradually awakening and flourishing along with Yan's comprehension. In the process of flourishing, the native life forms all benefited. They were like children of the star region. Wrapped in the great Tao of origin, they benefited greatly. Ha ha ha! Tao Xingyang looked up to the sky and laughed, almost tearing up. This was too important for Hokuto. In Yan's hands, they could rest assured. Even the awakening of the great Tao of origin could allow Hokuto, which was currently in a period of rapid development, to flourish. This could imperceptibly shorten their development time by 100 years. It was quite important. Many young disciples had broken through and began to verify their Tao. What a terrifying Big Dipper star region. The stronger the awakening, the greater Yan's harvest. He was now growing along with the star region. When he derived enough terrifying power and fused with the endless power of the stars, it was as if he had accumulated an extremely strong foundation. He unleashed wave after wave of terrifying power, awakening with a rumbling sound, erupting with a power that would cause people to tremble. The evolution of the great Tao gave birth to order. It was like a primitive world establishing civilization. Yen saw a lot. As he continued to watch, it became blurry. This was because the various evolutions were not something Yen could observe. The cultivation and realm required were too high. Yen had to slowly comprehend and reap the benefits. Boom! Yen, who was sitting cross-legged on the altar, began to become clear. During the process, he emitted a powerful aura of the origin, which distorted the entire array and almost shattered it. He's out. He's going to be baptized. Tao Xingyang and the others pointed at Yen excitedly. It's really Yen. I was worried that there would be an accident. Haha, you worry too much. Yen has successfully obtained the title. The Big Dipper Supreme belongs to Hokuto. They discussed excitedly. They could clearly see the endless power of the universe's origin beginning to penetrate Yan's body. How terrifying and shocking it was. Endless divine power gathered and contained the power of the great Tao. It was equivalent to the great Tao evolution liquid, which penetrated Yan's body. Yen roared at the sky. His divine eyes spurted out lightning. It was sharp and terrifying. This was the power he longed for. The aura in his body was awakening, and each wave of energy was more magnificent than the last. The power of the great Tao in his body also began to increase rapidly. The energy waves soared into the sky and split the sea. The array was about to explode. Tao Xingyang's expression changed drastically. He instantly suppressed the killing array with his divine power. He was shocked. What's going on? Why did Yen suddenly seem to have accumulated a peerless foundation? How did he do it? What a vigorous divine power. Chapter 605. Everyone knew that cultivators would form a great Tao body after proving their Tao. After all, they would become one with the great Tao and be baptized by the great Tao origin during the process. A weak environment wouldn't be able to nurture a powerful great Tao body, which would require the great Tao evolution fluid. However, the Big Dipper used to be the most powerful ancient star. its universe origin could be called abnormal. Su Yin had already formed a lot of great Tao bodies in advance, and he had even perfected them in the past few years. Now, under the great Tao origin of the Big Dipper constellation, Su Yin looked up and roared. His long black hair danced in the air like a demon. It was as if tens of thousands of volcanoes had exploded. Terrifying rays of light rose from Su Yin's body. They were bright and dazzling. His body was like a huge sun burning in the sky, illuminating the world. If Tao Xingyang hadn't acted in time and used his strength to suppress the killing array that was about to shatter, once the commotion here spread out and outsiders learned that Su Yin had obtained the Big Dipper imprint, it would be a calamity. At that time, the Ancestral Hall's almighty figures might even come to the Big Dipper starfield. In any case, Su Yin couldn't be exposed. Tao Xingyang closed in and sealed the area. At the same time, he ordered his subordinates to seal off the area within 100,000 miles and not let anyone approach the destination. What a terrifying energy storm. Look, they shouted excitedly and were full of fear. They saw Su Yin rise to the sky. He had been baptized by the great path of the origin of the Big Dipper during the Tao unification stage. His body glowed and his potential was ignited. The power of the great paths inside him was rising, like a dragon coming out of an abyss. His aura was too frightening. His unparalleled constitution was in good health, and his inner path was about to be perfected. The power of the great path vibrated in his body, creating strange phenomena. It was as if everything in the world had merged into chaos. It was impossible to see clearly. The biggest change was Su Yin's battle body. It was as if he had been reborn from the fire, releasing a powerful great Tao force. It was as if he had swallowed a fossil. Su Yin had long cultivated a peerless foundation. Now, it was time for him to collect the good fortune. Because his eruption was too fast, he released all that he had learned and comprehended, using the great Tao to support it. It's getting stronger and stronger. The resonance of the Big Dipper origin energy has filled the entire Big Dipper constellation. The Big Dipper supremacy has been born. Who is it? Why is there no news at all? Could be an expert from Hokuto. The entire Big Dipper constellation was in an uproar. Many cultivators also broke through, and the old man regained much of his vitality. The experts who had benefited from this battle roared excitedly. The Big Dipper sovereign has been born. The young sovereign of our Big Dipper starfield has been born. Who is it? The vast Big Dipper star region burned with the light of the great Tao, illuminating the dark universe and the surrounding hundreds of star regions. The radiance it released was too brilliant and extraordinary. The 7 stars of the Big Dipper seemed to be connected together, scattering down the aura of the great Tao like a sea. Good fortune descended, bestowing upon the native creatures of this star domain. Hokuto's divine power was even more abundant. Many old experts whose lifespans had been depleted were particularly excited. They had gained hundreds of years of life out of nowhere, and even their old bodies had become younger. They all laughed uncontrollably. Hokuto needed this fortune too much. It was like sweet dew from the heavens, causing the Hokuto's momentum to soar. It seemed that they were going to recover their former might and glory as a peak race. The great Tao of origin descends upon the world, and its destination is the Big Dipper. Some people saw through the clues and turned pale. They couldn't be sure who had obtained the Big Dipper mark. If it was really an expert from another region, then things would be troublesome. No one in the Big Dipper star region would want the mark to be taken by another region. This is bad. Could it be that an expert from another region has obtained it? What? That's absolutely impossible. If an expert from another region has obtained it, then kill him immediately. We can't leave this scourge alive. That's right. This concerns the survival of our race. Ingjie from a peak race can't be allowed to leave the Big Dipper star region alive. Even Hokuto was abuzz with discussion. Many experts rushed out with gloomy expressions. The Big Dipper star region had gathered Ingjie from another region. They all wanted to seize the mark of the great Tao. If the mark was really taken by another region, then the Big Dipper star region would suffer a great loss. In the future, the Big Dipper star region might be taken over by an expert from another region. Once this happened, it would be a disaster for Hokuto. One could imagine how serious the consequences would be. Who is it? Many experts from another region had bloodshot eyes. They wanted to find the source, but the Big Dipper star was so vast that it would take time to find the distance. The great Tao born in the star region became heavier and heavier. Su Yan's unification finally awakened the slumbering will of the star region. An ancient and majestic aura rumbled over. Purple clouds filled the sky, and auspicious signs filled the sky. It's about to form a mark. Tao Xingyang slapped his thigh and shouted excitedly. He had witnessed such a magnificent feat from beginning to end with his own eyes. Now he saw with his own eyes the great Tao of origin of the Big Dipper converging and crisscrossing. It was as if millions of immortal marks of the great Tao were intertwined to form a mark that illuminated the universe. This mark was quite terrifying. It was like a condensed mark of the heavens that was branded on Su Yan's forehead. Ah! Su Yan roared as the mark returned to his glabella. He was like a god of war who had shed his shackles. The light he emitted was even brighter. He felt that the world had lost its shackles. He could do whatever he wanted in this world. This was like Su Yan's territory. Su Yan was like the supreme god of the Big Dipper star region. This also caused Su Yan's aura to become even stronger. Tao Xingyang and the others laughed. This was only natural. Everyone knew that it was extremely difficult to challenge a starfield supremacy in a starfield. A starfield supremacy was almost invincible in their own starfield. With Su Yan's foundation and potential, Tao Xingyang and the others felt that it would not be easy for a supreme being to suppress Su Yan. 1. Su Yan's body burned with the flames of the great Tao. His body and Tao merged, causing the great Tao of the star region to resonate. At this moment, his fusion with the star region was even more perfect. Su Yan was like the master of the star region. He could comprehend the supreme changes of the great Tao of the star region at any time and place. Su Yan's cultivation increased rapidly. His body was filled with strange phenomena and revealed the profundities of the primordial era. He emitted a terrifying aura that could create all things. His body seemed to be burning with the flames of the great Tao that surged into the sky. This was his accumulation being released without limit. His combat strength was climbing steadily. It was equivalent to absorbing the great Tao evolution elixir. However, this process of merging with the star region gave him even more benefits. My innate ability has become stronger. I didn't expect the infusion of the origin to be the same as receiving the baptism of the great Tao evolution elixir. Su Yan was pleasantly surprised. The origin of his heart was shining brightly. All kinds of mysterious Tao marks intertwined and converged into a fist that emitted the aura of time and space. The fist of time had reached a new level. It was faintly filled with the aura of time. His chest was shining and filled with a power that pushed the flow of time. Su Yan was pleasantly surprised and moved. His innate ability had become more profound. It seemed that he could finally evolve into a power related to time. This made Su Yan more surprised the more he thought about it. How terrifying was time? Even powerful beings could not resist it. If he could control time, wouldn't he be able to obtain eternal life? He felt that this was too dreamy. It only existed in legends. Which cultivator in the world could be immortal? Perhaps his fist technique could affect the power of time in the future. In short, the fist of time was full of strong potential and special characteristics. Boom! As he continued to accumulate, Su Yan seemed to have turned into a giant. He suddenly released endless divine light. His body became more and more terrifying and dazzling. In the end, he could be called a war god that could tear apart the sea of stars. Vast fluctuations emerged, filled with a heavy pressure that could crush the universe. I feel the aura of a supreme being. They had lost control. Could it be that Su Yan had a supreme body? Had he been hiding it until now? The aura of this kind of constitution was still being released. Su Yan's body turned into a murderous weapon, revealing flames. Although it was blurry and unfathomable, the hidden power was like a giant dragon that looked down on the heavens, awakening. Su Yan's heart trembled. He found that in the current environment, his constitution had a tendency to leap and become stronger. This made Su Yan suspicious. Why didn't he have this kind of understanding before? Instead, he only had this kind of feeling when he became the Big Dipper Supreme. Could it be that the outside universe's environment had a kind of suppression on his body? Now that the shackles had been opened, everything was flowing smoothly. He could charge forward and become a supreme being. Just like when Su Yan first came to planet Alcade, he was cruelly crushed. This was the problem of the universe's environment. Su Yan's emotions surged. His aura was recovering like a sleeping supreme being that was going to break open the supreme divine treasure under the baptism of the origin great Tao. Roar! Su Yan let out a long roar and soared into the sky like a true dragon of the great Tao. His aura surged. His originally incomplete physique seemed to be baptized by the origin of the great Tao at this moment and was on the verge of perfection. The aura of calamity that rushed out of his treasure body was really like a myriad tribulation body. It was reborn in destruction and walked toward perfection in new life. Su Yan felt that as long as he could reach this step, his constitution would be very terrifying. It was like a constitution that defied the heavens and would soar into the sky, breaking through the clouds and piercing through the heavens. However, when Su Yan's constitution soared to the extreme and was about to spread his wings and soar into the sky, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His body seemed to have hit the strongest life ancient planet. It was also like a small stone hitting a big rock. Puff! Su Yan's body trembled. This was a kind of destructive power that attacked his body. It came from a universe, as if the universe had turned into a prison and suppressed Su Yan alive. Oh no! Tao Xingyang and the others all changed their expressions. What was going on? Su Yan was at the critical moment of his breakthrough. Why was he suddenly struck by lightning? As if lightning had struck him, Su Yan's hair was disheveled, and he was about to roll on the ground. Ah! Su Yan let out a deep roar and looked at the sky. The Big Dipper constellation couldn't stop Su Yan, but there was a terrifying energy substance in the world that was stopping Su Yan and restricting his body. The Big Dipper constellation had been in an uproar at first. Many cultivators were immersed in the joy of a breakthrough. However, the next moment, the outer space of the Big Dipper constellation suddenly became gloomy. This was a sudden appearance of dark clouds. It was hard to believe. The dark clouds forcefully filled the entire starry sky, gushing with a world-destroying aura. It was so oppressive that it caused billions of living beings to feel uneasy. How is that possible? Even the entities were shocked. It was too sudden, as if it had been planned for a long time. Chapter 606. Dark clouds billowed in outer space. For a moment, the entire Big Dipper starfield was plunged into darkness. One could imagine how dense and vast the dark clouds were. They blotted out the sky as if an almighty expert had made a move here, erupting with world-destroying power. Boom! The oppressive sound of thunder was deafening and shook the stars. It even wanted to scatter people's souls. The momentum was too vast. After all, too many lightning bolts fell from the dark clouds at once. They were densely packed and innumerable, each as thick as a mountain. What a shocking scene this was. 99% of the cultivators were encountering a heavenly tribulation for the first time, but such a vast group of lightning made some of the spectating deities tremble. Unheard of, a deity muttered to himself. There was an additional layer of reverence for the universe in his heart. If they were to encounter this tribulation, they would probably fall into the fate of death. It was as if a world-destroying heavenly punishment had descended from the universe. It was resplendent and blazing. The moment it struck down, the mountains collapsed, the seas split, and the stars fell. For a moment, the world had entered the end of the world. The astronomical phenomenon was violent to the extreme. Boom! It was as if the universe was emitting an annihilating intent. The deafening thunder was like the roar of an immemorial Qilin shaking the starry sky. The incomparably brilliant sea of lightning instantly illuminated the pitch-black night sky. The moment it struck down, it was intimidating. A large number of creatures let out cries of despair. This really seemed to be targeted at them. The scene was too grand. Many experts didn't dare to look directly at it. This was a killing tribulation that originated from the universe. It was enough to slaughter all life and strangle all life. Why is there a heavenly tribulation descending? Someone said in shock. What kind of heaven-defying expert attracted the power of the universe to form a heavenly tribulation? This shouldn't be. There's no reason. The Big Dipper supremacy was just born. It shouldn't be targeting him. But why is there a heavenly tribulation? Is this heavenly tribulation targeting a heavenly deity who has done something heaven-defying? The whole world was in an uproar. Tao Xingyang and the others were all frightened. After all, they were too close to the lightning, and they were all frightened. When the lightning fell, they were suffocating and they were about to explode. Even the gods felt that they could not stop it, let alone Su Yan. Retreat. No matter what, Tao Xingyang and the others were forced to retreat and leave this sea of lightning. If they didn't leave, they would also suffer a calamity, and they might even perish under the lightning tribulation. On the other hand, Su Yan was the Big Dipper paragon, and he could use the origin power of the Big Dipper constellation. Perhaps he would be able to withstand it. Heaven wants to destroy me. Su Yan's eyes emitted a divine light that tore apart the darkness. As the star domain sank into darkness, the lightning fell. Facing such an apocalyptic environment, Su Yan's aura erupted completely. Boundlessly awakened, he stood at the apex and emitted a terrifying spiritual will. He coldly shouted, as the saying goes, one must revere the universe. But why do you want to destroy me? Su Yan had already realized that the heavenly tribulation originated from the killing of the universe. It was like an unstoppable torrent that suppressed everything, wanting to cut off Su Yan's source of life. This caused Su Yan's eyes to widen in anger. The blood in his body began to burn. Even in the face of a peerless killing strike from the universe, Su Yan's blood was still burning. Everyone look. The eyes of the various races in the Big Dipper constellation were focused on the Big Dipper. Some experts also took out their spatial treasures to illuminate the land of the lightning tribulation, wanting to know what was happening. But even the most powerful spatial treasures could only project a blurry image in the face of such a vast lightning tribulation. However, they saw a shadow awakening, releasing a wave that soared into the sky. It was like a golden war god that rose from the ground with a loud bang. Su Yan was taking the initiative to face the various lightning bolts that descended from the sky. Heaven-defying, Su Yan roared angrily. The essence, qi, and spirit in his body poured out. It was as if a true dragon of the great Tao had drilled out from his back. Its roar shattered the clouds, and the pervading essence blood was quite terrifying and spectacular. It directly collided with the endless lightning that was striking down. Boom! This was an extremely powerful collision. Su Yan used his strongest strength to meet the lightning rolling down from the darkness. The moment of collision, the light was dazzling, and the momentum spread for hundreds of thousands of miles. All kinds of collision ripples swept out in all directions. The heaven and earth were shaking, and the rivers and mountains were rumbling. The whole earth was heaving up and down, and everything was on the verge of exploding. The Big Dipper had given birth to a great calamity, and the sky was descending with murderous intent. People saw a large number of thunderbolts striking down unceasingly. They split open the source of Su Yan's divine power and pierced through everything, bombarding his body. Su Yan's battle constitution was peerless. He had once charged into a thunderstorm to temper his body. Now, the heavenly tribulation of the birth of a universe was striking down. It contained a destructive force that could sever all life as it attacked Su Yan's battle constitution. Su Yan let out a long cry. Even someone as strong as his precious body was trembling violently. His skin and flesh were lacerated by the lightning, and his entire precious body was on the verge of being shattered by the lightning. Just how powerful was this? These thunderbolts were too astonishing. Tao Xingyang and the others were all trembling with fear. How could this be? Why was there such powerful lightning targeting Su Yan? Moreover, this was just the beginning. Su Yan was already wounded, and his battle constitution was stained with blood. Tao Xingyang and the others were well aware of Su Yan's incomparably powerful body. It had also been baptized by the Big Dipper Origin Dao and was comparable to a divine weapon. However, even with such a powerful battle constitution, he was still killed. One had to admit that it was quite cruel. However, Su Yan was starting to endure. His body was like the universe as it erupted with the power of the scripture of beginning. With barbaric and tyrannical strength, it refined all kinds of lightning that had drilled into his body. The lightning was extremely difficult to deal with. This was the power of heavenly punishment, and it contained the power to destroy all life. However, the scripture of beginning was the most respected scripture in the world. Now, it displayed its ability to respond. The power of all things appeared and trapped the lightning within his body. At the same time, Su Yan circulated the heaven-mending technique to repair his damaged battle constitution. Who is that person? Is it the Big Dipper Supreme? Who knows? The influence of the heavenly tribulation is too great. We can't see the whole picture at all. All the cultivators in the world were paying attention. Their expressions turned pale when they saw Su Yan's battle constitution gushing out vigorous essence blood. His damaged body was nourished and began to heal at an extremely fast speed. However, the heavenly tribulation didn't give Su Yan too much time to react. The dark clouds in outer space were so dense that it was as if a demon lord was awakening. They emitted the light of the universe and shook down once again. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts. These lightning bolts were actually golden and as brilliant as the sun. Every bolt of lightning contained an extremely domineering and blazing aura, as if they could burn all things. Oh my God, that's solar lightning. The spectators turned pale. These were lightning bolts that specialized in restraining the physical body. They struck down one after another, and there were tens of thousands of them. They rushed towards the ground, and Su Yan's blood-stained battle constitution at a terrifying speed. Damn you! Su Yan let out an angry roar, his eyes shining with killing intent. His entire flesh shell was lit up with divine light, and his body released the most ferocious aura. He waved his fists, one punch after another, smashing forward. Every punch pulled on the shocking divine power in his body. Every time they collided, it was as if they were bombarding the sun. This was an extremely cruel expedition. The sky was filled with lightning bolts that continuously struck Su Yan. Su Yan's fists were charred black, but the blood in his body was boiling. His body was like a sun that countered toughness with toughness. He fought against the lightning bolts, and all kinds of energy waves swept across the world. Spiritual mountains and rivers were pierced through, and the land within 100,000 miles was about to be scorched. Why did he attract the heavenly tribulation? Tao Xingyang's eyes turned red. He saw that Su Yan was seriously injured one after another. Golden lightning would penetrate Su Yan's battle constitution. The blazing aura contained in the lightning wanted to completely refine Su Yan and evaporate the source of life in his body. One could imagine how dangerous this was. Su Yan could only use the power of the Inception Sutra to forcefully suppress the lightning in his body. Su Yan's mouth was spewing flames, and his bones were showing signs of melting. Moreover, in the process of Su Yan fighting against the solar lightning, he was melting along with the lightning, and a lot of the blood essence in his body had dried up. If it wasn't for Su Yan's powerful battle constitution, how could he have withstood such powerful solar lightning? It should be about time, right? After all, Su Yan is only a great Dao Realm expert. It's impossible for him to attract too many heavenly tribulations. It turned out that Tao Xingyang and the others felt that the heavenly tribulation was about to end, but what stunned them was that when the solar lightning was about to end, new lightning began to brew. From the dark clouds that covered the entire Big Dipper constellation, black lightning surged out. They were as thick as black mountains. This was simply the opening of purgatory. The world was bone-chillingly cold. Extreme lightning. This is extreme lightning. Who is the person transcending the heavenly tribulation? Why would he attract such lightning? I feel that the strength of the heavenly tribulation should belong to the heavenly punishment. I think it's a deity transcending the heavenly tribulation. Perhaps he did something heaven-defying and incurred the jealousy of the heavens. I think it should be the Big Dipper Supreme transcending the heavenly tribulation. Perhaps some problems occurred when he obtained the Big Dipper mark and attracted the world-destroying heavenly punishment. The living beings in the Big Dipper constellation who were paying attention discussed animatedly. Many people were silent in shock and fear. On the Big Dipper constellation, where the heavenly tribulation was aimed, a loud sound shook the sky. As if a huge dam had collapsed, a black torrent swept down, rolling endlessly and bombarding Su Yan. The heavens want to destroy me. Su Yan's eyes narrowed. This was the most powerful attack he had encountered since his debut. Even when he faced off against Shueguan, he had not encountered such a threat. He could deal with his enemies back then, but now he was facing the heavenly punishment of the universe. The extreme lightning was like an evil dragon coming into being and rushing towards the earth. The sky was filled with the sound of thunder, shaking heaven and earth. Some of the weaker cultivators were trembling, so frightened that they could not move. These lightning bolts were full of deterrence. They all felt that the end of the world had arrived and the world was about to be destroyed. Flowers of blood bloomed in the darkness. Many cultivators saw the shadow of the tribulation. The bones in their bodies began to shatter because blood was spurting out of his pores. He had experienced the combined attack of the extreme yin and extreme yang lightning. Even a deity would be defeated and perish. How could Su Yan withstand it? He spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His body was about to explode under the lightning. Su Yan originally wanted to use the Big Dipper's origin power to resist, but he realized that he could not move it. The Big Dipper constellation's origin power was forcefully sealed by the heavenly punishment of the universe. Roar! Su Yan let out an angry roar like an unkillable cockroach. He stabilized his body with the heaven-mending technique and swallowed a true dragon leaf at the same time to replenish his internal injuries. He was struggling within the black lightning, and anyone could see clearly that in the darkness, a blazing golden figure erupted one after another. He was bathed in blood and crazed, releasing a flourishing battle strength. With the battle strength of his golden age, he faced the lightning that filled the sky. In the end, he withstood it. His body was charred black and stained with blood. He forcibly suppressed the rampaging lightning within his body. It's definitely over. Su Yan has withstood it? Tao Xingyang was overjoyed. When he raised his head to look at the black clouds, he was dumbfounded. The black clouds were dyed red by the five-colored divine light. When the sound of thunder exploded, the earth trembled, and everything was about to sink. A terrifying aura was born. Five-colored lightning fell from the sky and turned into one giant pillar after another. They contained the power of the five elements. Five elements lightning. Chapter 607. This is bad. Something big is going to happen. I have a bad feeling about this. Tao Xingyang and the others' expressions turned ugly. The lightning tribulation was endless, and no one knew when it would end. It kept ascending. Su Yan was already heavily injured by the first heavenly tribulation, but it didn't seem like it was going to stop anytime soon. This made their scalps go numb. Su Yan was already a star domain supreme expert. If Su Yan fell under the heavenly punishment and died in the lightning tribulation, it would be too sullen. Moreover, why would Su Yan attract such powerful lightning? In any case, the five-elemental lightning had already struck down. This kind of lightning contained the power of the five elements. At the critical juncture of descending from the sky, it could be said to be a five-color Tao field. The power of the five elements interweaved and struck down at Su Yan. Who is that person? The person undergoing the tribulation is definitely tyrannical. His foundation is shocking. I see him erupting again and again in the midst of decline. The experts in outer space were watching the battle through their spatial treasures. However, the images displayed by the treasures were very blurry. They couldn't see clearly and could only see the person undergoing the tribulation erupting while bathed in blood, unleashing terrifying attacks again and again. Countless bones in his body had been broken. The heaven-mending technique was truly miraculous. Although it wasn't complete, the current heaven-mending technique was very helpful to Su Yan. It allowed him to crawl out of a pool of blood time and time again. However, it wasn't just the 5-elemental lightning. Following that, all kinds of lightning struck down from the black clouds. Many people were dumbfounded. This kind of heavenly tribulation seemed to have no end. It would continue to strike until the person attempting to defy the heavens fell. Only then would it end. Eldest senior brother can definitely endure it. He definitely can. Outsiders didn't know, but Xiao Wan and the others knew very well that the expert undergoing the tribulation was undoubtedly Su Yan. After Bamboo Moon took Su Yan away from the Divine Mountain Range, she immediately escorted Xing Jingfu and the others away. They had already received news that Su Yan was in Hokuto. Since Su Yan was in Hokuto, then the god of war under the heavenly tribulation was undoubtedly Su Yan. Oh my god, this is really unreasonable. It's F*King happening again. Some people couldn't stand it anymore. Half a day had passed since the lightning began, but there were still new lightning strikes in the darkness. Even now, new lightning strikes were coming. In fact, every time the lightning retreated, they felt that it was over. And the heavens and the earth to the heavens and the earth. The terrifying impact and the energy waves generated by the light alarmed all the cultivators on the Big Dipper. Then, they saw a dazzling light erupting from the black clouds as silver lightning fell to the ground. Tens of millions of stars fell and arranged themselves to form a boundless starry lightning. Every celestial body was constructed from lightning and contained an aura that could suppress the kings. However, these celestial lightning was too dense. They rolled down uniformly and charged towards Su Yan. Starry lightning. The lightning has evolved into a physical object. This isn't a heavenly tribulation, but a heavenly punishment. The purpose is to destroy. This is serious. I really don't know who this person is. He can withstand it for so long. It's enough to show how powerful he is. Yeah, it'll be a great loss if such an outstanding person dies in battle. Won't the power behind him be heartbroken? The deities all sucked in a cold breath of air. This lightning seemed to be controlled by someone, and there were many variables. Right now, the starry lightning that was released was composed of millions upon millions of great stars, and it was formed from lightning. It was extremely terrifying. Boom! The earth exploded. Smoke and dust filled the sky. Earth and rocks rolled. This was the force of the impact. A large crack was formed, forming a large rift valley. It was going to smash all living things into meat paste. People saw the figure standing under the tens of millions of starry lightning. Su Yan could still fight. His body emitted a furious fighting strength. He waved his blood-stained fists, containing a terrifying spiritual will. He wanted to live. He didn't want to be destroyed by the heavens. He punched out again and again at the lightning that was smashing toward him. Kill! Su Yan roared. He really erupted at the edge of the cliff. His blood-stained hair scattered behind him as he attacked with big moves. Eldest senior brother can definitely hold on. Back then, Yin Xian was hooting all day, but he was still killed. Yeah, eldest senior brother was still a small cultivator. But what happened? The almighty Zhu Onbong and the dual supreme physique Shueguan were all killed by eldest senior brother. They all survived and killed their way to invincibility. This kind of injury is nothing to eldest senior brother. He can definitely hold on and kill his way through the heavenly punishment. He can prove himself as a supreme being and kill everything in his way. Feng Xiaomu and the others lost control of their emotions. After all, the scene was quite tragic. Su Yan's fists were bleeding and his body was staggering. Sometimes he would be struck by the stars, sending his flesh flying. Half of his body was trembling violently. Some of the starry lightning drilled into Su Yan's body and destroyed it. However, Su Yan's body was like the manifestation of the universe's profound mysteries. It was as if he had opened up a new space-time where all kinds of lightning were vibrating. Not only did he have to deal with the heavenly punishment, but he also had to suppress the rampaging lightning in his body. It had to be said that this kind of battle was too difficult and cruel. He had swallowed 3 true dragon leaves to ensure that Su Yan's essence blood remained vigorous. When the starry lightning reached its end, the world became quiet. Su Yan had endured it again. His body was badly damaged. Su Yan clenched his fists and roared at the black clouds. He was like an unyielding god of war. His clothes were torn, and his blood-stained hair was disheveled. He was still alive. Boom! A thunderous sound exploded in the quiet world. It seemed to resonate in the souls of the spectators. If a mortal was there, their soul would have been shattered and ceased to exist. The spectators felt a chill from head to toe because they saw a sea of sword aura surging in the dark clouds. It was like a sea of lightning that was enough to split the sky and cut down the stars in the outer realms. This was a killing attack formed by interweaving lightning. It could be said to be the sword of heavenly punishment. It fell from the sky and split the world into yin and yang. The vast sword aura fell just like that. The despair-inducing lightning fell in the end and slashed at the blood-stained shadow standing on the ground. This heavenly punishment could really make people despair. Tao Zhengyang didn't have any hope. Maybe there was something wrong with Su Yan's body that attracted the heavenly punishment to destroy him. This young giant who broke the balance couldn't be allowed to continue growing. The heavenly punishment could make even deities despair. If it weren't for Su Yan's young age, vigorous blood essence, and powerful body, he wouldn't have been able to survive. He wouldn't have been able to last until now. Su Yan ate the true dragon leaf. His eyes were filled with determination and fighting spirit. He was going to fight to the end. I don't believe that I can be destroyed by the lightning formed by your Tao. Su Yan's heart was burning with anger. He rushed forward and roared, I am the Tao. The Tao is me. No one can stop my path. Kill. Su Yan's spiritual changed. He didn't worship the Tao or the heavens. He was the Tao. Su Yan emitted a spiritual will of supremacy in the world. His fighting spirit was restored. Even if he died in battle, Su Yan would die standing. He rushed forward furiously to resist the sword lightning. He was going to fight to the end and never admit defeat. Time ticked by. The sudden heavenly punishment lasted from day to night and from night to the next day. 2 days and 2 nights passed. All sorts of strange lightning flashes appeared frequently. Even the deities didn't know about most of them. There were few records of them in the ancient books. However, the lightning bolts came out in full force, and they came down one after another. The spectators were numb. The person undergoing the tribulation had astonishing foundations. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to last until now. However, no matter how strong his foundations were, he couldn't withstand such exhaustion. It was said that the stronger the heavenly punishment, the greater the benefits one would receive. However, 2 days had passed, and they still didn't see what the heavenly punishment would bring to Su Yan. Stop persevering. Give up, Su Yan. You're already very terrifying. Who would believe that a great Tao realm expert is undergoing a tribulation? They all think that he's a young heavenly god. Don't go on like this. Tao Zhengyang was in a daze. He felt that Su Yan was suffering too much. He saw that Su Yan's aura was starting to decline. His hair was turning white, and his expression was aging. He was giving it his all. He was exhausting too much of his life force. If this continued, even a true dragon would be exhausted to death. Even a dragon blood horse would be crippled. Su Yan's breathing was heavy. His body was riddled with holes. He was like a broken ceramic that would collapse at any moment. Su Yan's body was shriveled up. His qi and blood were weak, and his life force was constantly decreasing. He was extremely exhausted. He had no idea how long he had lasted. Perhaps it was a year, perhaps it was 10 years, or perhaps it was his twilight years. To Su Yan, these 2 years were as long as a century. Ha ha ha! The corners of his lips were dry as he let out a bitter laugh. He felt that he was truly exhausted. He had eaten all the true dragon leaves. Now his body was filled with intense pain. He felt that if he moved even a little, his body might cease to exist. Rumble. Intense waves were transmitted from his body. Su Yin fell to the ground. His life force seemed to have been completely devoured. In Su Yan's body, the power of the beginning sutra suppressed countless lightning bolts and compressed them into his Tao. It restrained them and reduced the damage to his body. Su Yin found that he had passed the myriad tribulation. He had passed the myriad lightning tribulation. Su Yan's inner Tao couldn't suppress the myriad tribulation anymore. Su Yan's mind was exhausted to the extreme. He was so tired that he was about to faint. He looked at the myriad tribulation and the previous desperate fight. He even fought against each kind of lightning. The process was very unforgettable and was imprinted in his heart. Every kind of tribulation was a kind of Tao. The myriad tribulation was wreaking havoc in his inner Tao. Su Yin suddenly found that the myriad tribulation looked very familiar. It was like thousands of Tao fruit fragments flowing in his inner Tao. It was wreaking havoc and destroying his battle body. However, Su Yin found that he could decipher the myriad tribulation and absorb it with the beginning sutra. He was reorganizing the myriad tribulation and evolving the Tao to create energy for him to use. Dense lightning power was released from Su Yan's body. Under everyone's shocked gaze, this bloody and deformed person seemed to have really been destroyed. His life force disappeared without a trace. No! The elders of Hokuto roared in pain. Su Yin had died in the vast myriad tribulation. What? Xing Jingfu and the others shouted angrily. Back then, Yin Xian, Zhu Anbang, and Shuiguan were all killed by Su Yin one after another. Why did the heavens treat Su Yin like this? Chapter 608. The Tribulation Taker has fallen. Oh my God, he's been through so many tribulations, but he still can't survive the will of the heavens. If the heavens want him to die, he has to die. Someone gloated. I really don't know who this expert is. Do you think he's Lord Beidou? I don't think so. The Tribulation Taker should be a deity. It can't be Lord Beidou at all. Lord Beidou wouldn't have such strong combat power. I agree too. All the clans were watching with their space-time treasures. They were numb. The Tribulation Taker had lasted for 2 days and 2 nights. Even a deity couldn't withstand it and was about to fall. They even thought that even a deity would be relatively young and powerful. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to survive until now. At that moment, Su Yan's body was filled with the aura of the Tribulation Taker. There were bolts of lightning in different shapes, as if they were traces of the great Tao. They turned into lightning swords and slashed Su Yan's body. Su Yan's physical body had already declined to the extreme. Even his life imprint seemed to have been cut off. His body was riddled with holes and was about to explode. If it weren't for Su Yan's terrifying physical body and the heaven-defying recovery under the baptism of the Big Dipper origin, Su Yan would have died in battle long ago. The Tribulation Taker penetrated Su Yan's limbs and bones, carrying out the final destruction. However, Su Yan observed the Tribulation Taker in the midst of the destruction. The worlds trapped in the beginning sutra were like the carriers of the great Tao. What was the Tribulation Taker? It was evolved from the great Tao of the universe or the order of the universe. Being tempered by the Tribulation Taker was equivalent to being slashed by the great Tao of the universe. If one could survive this process, it would be a great help for cultivation. After all, the Tribulation Taker was brewed with the purest and most powerful great Tao power. Su Yan's inner universe suppressed the worlds as if it were suppressing the great Tao. If it were any other cultivator, they would have died in battle long ago. However, the origin scripture was different. It was like the mother of all scriptures in the universe. One could use the origin scripture to derive any divine ability or heavenly art. Now, Su Yin was using the beginning sutra to observe the vast myriad tribulations. He seemed to have seen the myriad tribulations clearly. Tom also seemed to have returned to the time on the Great Tao Mountain. Back then, Su Yin received the help of the Great Tao Mountain and found the future path of cultivation for the beginning sutra. Now, the vast remnant Great Tao aura of the myriad tribulations gave Su Yin a strong inspiration. It was as if he saw the myriad Taos condensed and operating within the inner Tao. It was as if he had become a part of the inner Tao. He seemed to have seen a world formed by the combination of 10,000 Taos. There were the sun, the moon, and the stars, spiritual mountains and great rivers, spiritual veins and earthly treasures, the two extremes of yin and yang, and the profound meanings of the five elements. How did these Taos merge together under the power of the beginning sutra, about to create all things? My Tao, my law, Su Yin roared in his heart. This was his spiritual will that was on the verge of despair burning. He saw a path of survival, a terrifying great Tao that beckoned to him, waiting for him to reap the fruits of his labor. I'm not going to die. Su Yin laughed crazily in his heart. His broken body faintly glowed, and the life force within began to recover. Boom! Suddenly, the vast myriad tribulation thunder sea that had an extremely oppressive atmosphere suddenly trembled. It was filled with all kinds of destructive auras. It was as if 10 million lightning bolts were striking down, as if 10 million stars were falling, as if a blood-red killing sword was being born. Everything was terrifying to the extreme. All kinds of gods and demons were in chaos, and the fluctuations that could cut through everything extended out. Still King coming? Is there an end to this? Damn your ancestors! Tao Xingyang was furious and cursed loudly. What time was it now? The vast myriad tribulations had been struck down, but now the lightning tribulation was still continuing, erupting, and circulating. It was going to carry out another cruel slaughter. Su Yan's mind was tense. He was definitely being targeted. It was as if a pair of bloodthirsty eyes had opened in the darkness and were staring at Su Yan. The order of the universe was boiling, and the heavens were going to trigger a heaven-defying attack and blow Su Yan to smithereens. The heavens are going to cut me down. Su Yan widened his eyes in fury. He felt that he would really die in the next moment and be blown to ashes by the heavens' fury. He even felt that the heavens were targeting Su Yan's constitution and were going to cut off his path to becoming a celestial being. Damn it. Can I just endure it? The life force that had just been ignited in Su Yan's body completely collapsed. The vast power of the myriad tribulations swallowed Su Yan once again. He didn't care about suppressing the myriad tribulations with his inner path. He simply let go of the power of the myriad tribulations. The consequences were very serious. Su Yan was blown away, and a long flower of blood was blooming in the void. The dark clouds that were about to fall were stained with blood. It was such a beautiful and brilliant scene that it attracted the attention of billions of creatures. The whole world seemed to have fallen silent. The person undergoing the tribulation had fallen. His life force completely collapsed and was swallowed by the boundless myriad tribulations. Su Yan also seemed to have disappeared and turned into a pile of ashes. Eldest senior brother, Xiao Wen and the others lost control of their emotions. Their hearts were full of resentment as they pointed at the sky and cursed. They didn't understand and couldn't figure out why such a heavenly tribulation would target Su Yan. Was it because the heavens were jealous, or was it because Su Yan's potential was too great? Hokuto was in an uproar. From the moment the Northern Dipper supremacy appeared until now, they understood that Su Yan had returned and obtained the supremacy's mark, but now he had died miserably under the lightning tribulation. What a pity! This made many of Hokuto's doyens unable to accept this fact. Su Yan had actually fallen here under the lightning tribulation. Moreover, the moment Su Yan's life force collapsed, the world regained its tranquility. The originally extremely violent dark clouds also dispersed. The world seemed to have survived the end of the universe, and the darkness also dispersed in all directions. The spectating cultivators were in an uproar. Since the lightning tribulation had dispersed, it meant that the person undergoing the tribulation had fallen. It's a powerhouse from Hokuto. Could it be the Lord of the Northern Dipper? If the Lord of the Northern Dipper had fallen under the lightning tribulation, Hokuto would be in danger. Internal strife would rise again. I really don't know if Hokuto will still exist in the cultivation world in the future. Some people speculated, and it caused a huge commotion. This matter was very likely. Otherwise, among the younger generation of deities in Hokuto, who else could have such terrifying battle prowess other than the Lord of the Northern Dipper? They all saw Tao Zhengyang open a starry path and disappear into the Northern Dipper with the unrecognizable Su Yan. The entire Northern Dipper constellation was in an uproar. The powerhouses from the surrounding constellations heaved a sigh of relief. Although they were in awe of the person undergoing the tribulation, they really didn't want to see another heaven-defying powerhouse walk out of the Northern Dipper constellation. Otherwise, the hundreds of constellations would return to the previous era of the universe where Hokuto reigned supreme. This was an outcome they didn't want to see. Guys, look, Hokuto has opened up its sex foundation. Cultivators all over the world and important figures from various races were nervously watching. In the Northern Dipper constellation, the ancestral land of Hokuto, millions of rays of starry light rose into the air. One after another, astral treasures rumbled and revolved, emitting terrifying fluctuations. In this vast sea of stars, the foundation was opened, and killing intent swept through the sky. After all, Hokuto was the most powerful ancient life star in the past. Now, because of Su Yan's matter, it was as if Hokuto was facing a great enemy. They had opened up their foundation. Firstly, they had to seal the news. Secondly, if Su Yan's matter was leaked, it would be very troublesome. Who is Su Yan? In Hokuto, the powerhouses were everywhere. Many old antiques woke up from their deep slumber and walked out of their seclusion caves. They were all shocked. The first Northern Dipper Supreme was Hokuto's disciple. Then, who was the second Su Yan? When they received the news, many of the sect's elders were shocked. An invincible young Supreme was now the leading figure of their Hokuto's young disciples. This news was so shocking that it made them pale. Buzz! The sect's starry sky formation opened, and Tao Zhengyang came out from it. The blood and qi in his body were boiling, and his life essence was recovering. It transformed into the purest life essence and began to gather in a broken body. Eldest senior brother, Xing Jingfu and the others were jealous. Some disciples roared. Back then, eldest senior brother fought against all the young giants. I don't believe he would fall under the heavenly tribulation. I don't believe it. In fact, many of the elders didn't believe it either. But what happened just now made them despair. Who could survive? Who could? Su Yan was badly mutilated, and his appearance was unrecognizable. His body was withered, and his blood and qi were dried up. There was no sign of life at all. Tao Zhengyang did his best to guide the life essence out of his body and into Su Yan's body. He wanted to restore some life energy in his broken body. Perhaps there was still hope of saving Su Yan, but no matter what they did, the hope was very slim. Boom! Above one of the celestial bodies, a shadow with a powerful aura rose up. Xing Yuan's life aura was strong, as if a young god had just stepped out. This caused all the powerhouses in the sect to turn pale. Great Elder Xing Yuan had become a god. Originally, Star Element still needed 3 to 5 years, but because of the awakening of the Big Dipper origin, Star Element had stepped into this stage ahead of time. Now, Star Element's aura was terrifying like a golden lion. His life aura was frightening. Open the heavenly lake. Star Element suppressed the anger in his heart. No matter what, he wanted to save Su Yan. Yes. Tao Zhengyang nodded quickly. He felt that with the heavenly lake's strength, there might be a way to reverse the situation. Now, they all felt that Su Yan might still have hope and could climb back up. No. The heavenly lake is our sect's important ground. A senior elder shook his head and frowned. Su Yan has already fallen. We can't waste the heavenly lake's power. T. Star Element said angrily. Which eye of yours saw him fall? Old Yang. Open the heavenly lake immediately and use the heavenly lake's life force to prolong Su Yan's life. You. The senior elder who spoke had an ugly expression. He didn't expect Star Element to speak rudely to him. However, The current star element was indeed very strong. His life aura was too strong and surging. After all, star element had just become a god. Needless to say, his combat strength was stronger than 99% of the senior elders in the sect. Moreover, Tao Xingyang was the old Star Lord's disciple. Since the two of them had spoken, the other senior elders didn't want to say anything. Moreover, many of them still had a glimmer of hope in their hearts. How can we waste a chance on a dead man? That's right. Star Element, this junior is really bold. If it wasn't for this junior, Tao Xingyang, protecting Su Yin, I wouldn't have given Star Element any face. There were also some senior elders who were dissatisfied. They had never interacted with Su Yin before, but they already knew that the Ancestral Hall had issued a decree to capture Su Yin in exchange for 3 divine king weapons. Chapter 609. Boom! Within the Big Dipper sect, divine light erupted, rushing into the heavens. This was the scene of the heavenly pool opening. It was like a condensed sea of stars that was rapidly magnified. Vast energy waves filled the air and surged out endlessly. The heavenly pool opened once again, but Su Yin used it several times more. After all, due to the nourishment of Big Dipper's origin, the spiritual essence in Hokuto had increased sharply, not to mention the heavenly pool. Divine power surged between heaven and earth, burning with a monstrous vitality. At the moment of opening, various cosmic stars appeared and rotated in the void. Each of them was resplendent and contained divine essence. That's the heavenly pool of my sect. This is the first time I've seen it open. I wonder if the energy in the heavenly pool can prolong eldest senior brother's life. Eldest senior brother's injuries are too severe. It's much more serious than when he fought Shueguan. I really hope eldest senior brother can climb up and survive this calamity. He definitely can. Eldest senior brother survived such a powerful calamity, let alone a heavenly tribulation. Eldest senior brother can definitely climb up. Many disciples stared at the heavenly pool in the restricted region. The pool was resplendent and dazzling. The pool seemed to have filled up this entire ancient star sea. The energy was too exuberant, transforming into all kinds of cosmic bodies. Irregular scenes appeared one after another. The pool was overflowing with auspicious clouds and divine splendor. At the moment when Big Dipper's origin was awakened, Big Dipper's origin bestowed upon Hokuto. The divine power in the sect increased sharply, and the heavenly pool's harvest was even greater. The divine power inside was almost filled to the brim. The value of the precious liquid in the pool was difficult to measure. This was a treasured land for cultivating the starry sky combat physique. It was also one of the top resources in Hokuto's possession. Star Element and Tao Xingyang worked together to open the heavenly pool. They even threw the badly mutilated Su Yin into the heavenly pool. As soon as Su Yin's body entered the heavenly pool, the extremely pure energy in the pool surged towards Su Yan's body. The vitality contained within was too vigorous. As the divine power penetrated Su Yan's body, it began to glow. The bloodstains on his body were peeling off layer by layer, but the exposed remnants of his body made their hearts tremble. That was because Su Yan's injuries were too severe. His flesh was rotten, and it was almost impossible to put it back together. The bones in his body were all broken, and there was not a single place that was intact. With such a serious injury, Star Element roared in anger. Could Su Yin still survive? Many senior elders felt that the chances were slim. They all sighed. If such a young supreme being fell under the heavenly tribulation, it would truly be too regretful. No matter what, they wanted to try. The heavenly lake was one of the strongest resources in Hokuto, and the energy within it was limited. They hoped that under the cleansing of the massive amount of energy, Su Yin would be able to recover some of his life force and survive the calamity. The whole of Hokuto was quiet. Most of the disciples did not even have the right to go near the heavenly lake. Star Element and Tao Xingyang widened their eyes and watched anxiously. Although the massive amount of divine power was continuously cleansing Su Yan's body, they gradually realized that Su Yan's body was no longer absorbing energy. It was like an empty shell. There was no essence, breath, or spirit. How could this be? How could this be? Star Element roared in anger. His eyes were red. He felt very helpless. The main reason was that Su Yin did not have any consciousness response. Could he really have been killed? Did his consciousness no longer exist? If that was the case, then even the divine medicine would be useless. Don't panic. Let's wait a little longer. Tao Xingyang could still remain calm. He did not believe that the Big Dipper supremacy of this generation in the Big Dipper constellation would fall under the heavenly tribulation until the very end. I say, Old Yang, can't you see that Su Yin is dead? His body is empty and can no longer absorb energy. An old antique in a red robe walked over. He had lived for a long time. Although the qi and blood in his body were old, he looked more powerful than before. He frowned and said unhappily, "The heavenly lake is our sect's most powerful resource. It should not be wasted on a dead person." Wasted? Tao Xingyang's eyes were filled with anger. He looked at the old man in red robes and said angrily, "Is our sect's most outstanding disciple not worth saving? Yes, we should save him. But the price." The old man in red robes frowned even more. He was the old hall master of the Mizar Hall. He had a high reputation in Hokuto. When he was young, he was a prominent figure in Hokuto. He knew how powerful the Heavenly Lake was because he had been there before. "Don't worry. I will explain it to Master. You don't have to worry about it." Tao Xingyang replied angrily. His words made the old Mizar Hall master's face turn ugly. He was using the Old Star Lord to pressure him. Who didn't know that he was the Old Star Lord's disciple? Even if he is saved, his future achievements will be limited. It is not worth it. Another old antique in white robes walked out. He looked at Su Yin with an unfriendly gaze. He was the old hall master of the Alcade Hall. The great son of the Alcade Hall was killed by Su Yin. This matter made him very angry. He naturally hated Su Yin. His words were also very unpleasant. Damn, this group of old things. That year, the great son of the Alcade Hall tried to kill eldest senior brother several times. Eldest senior brother killed him instead. Xiao Wen and the others were very angry. They were very clear about Su Yan's contributions to Hokuto. They didn't mention these things at all. Now that Su Yin was using the Heavenly Lake to recover, they jumped out to criticize him. It was obvious that they didn't want Su Yin to harm their interests. However, there were still many experts who supported Su Yin. They all stood guard near the Heavenly Lake, sternly warning them that Su Yin must be saved. At the very least, they had to try to save him. The old Alcade Hall master and the others were also helpless. They worked together to protect Su Yin. It was impossible for them to interfere with Su Yan's use of the Heavenly Lake. The atmosphere in Hokuto was very oppressive. Meanwhile, outside of Hokuto, various forces were discussing spiritedly. They all wanted to know who the person undergoing the tribulation was. There were even cultivators from other regions who came frequently. They took out greeting cards and wanted to pay a visit. However, Hokuto had directly announced that they would not receive any visitors. They couldn't figure out who the person undergoing the tribulation was. Su Yan's broken body was still submerged in the Heavenly Lake, receiving the nourishment of the Heavenly Lake's life force to ensure that Su Yan's body maintained its vitality. Once his body withered, even if Su Yin woke up, it would be difficult for him to survive. That's enough. It's been 3 days. The old Alcade Hall master and the others couldn't stand it anymore. They even brought Ingjia over and scolded. It's been 3 days and 3 nights. The Heavenly Lake's energy has been depleted by more than half. Our sect has treated Su Yin well enough. It's stupid to continue like this. That's right. The energy in the Heavenly Lake is enough to increase the combat power of the Alcade Hall Master and the others. It shouldn't be wasted by Su Yin like this. He's already a dead man. It's not worth it to do this. You're harming the collective interests of Hokuto. Why should Su Yin, a dead man, enjoy such treatment? The resources in the Heavenly Lake are limited resources in Hokuto. Every bit used is a little less. Su Yin is just an outsider. It's not worth it for you to do this. The old Alcade Hall Master and the others' words were filled with dissatisfaction. Their voices were very loud. They were trying to mislead the disciples. They wanted more disciples to know the importance of the heavenly lake. If this continued, the heavenly lake would definitely be depleted. Tao Zhengyang and the others' faces were gloomy. 3 days had passed, and Su Yin still showed no signs of waking up. To be honest, they were about to give up. 3 days had passed. Was Su Yan's death already a foregone conclusion? Still not giving up? The old Arcade Hall master was about to lose his patience. He sneered. Is it worth it to save a dead man? Old fart, who are you talking about? Suddenly, a voice was heard. Although it sounded very weak, it was like a clap of thunder, exploding here. Star Element and the others were stunned. This voice sounded very familiar. Su Yin, Tao, Xingyang trembled violently. The experts guarding the heavenly lake were all excited. Their hands were trembling slightly. Could it be that Su Yin had survived? It's eldest senior brother. It must be eldest senior brother. Eldest senior brother is still alive. A young disciple roared. This voice should be Su Yan's. What? This kid is still alive? The old Arcade Hall master and the others' faces changed drastically. Su Yin had survived? How could this be? 3 days and 3 nights had passed. How could he still be alive? Then they saw the blood-stained body floating on the heavenly lake. Although it was emitting a tragic aura, his body trembled slightly, and his eyes suddenly opened. He's alive. The entire Hokuto was in an uproar. Many elders were laughing excitedly. Su Yin had come back to life. His eyes had even opened. Ha! I knew eldest senior brother wouldn't die so easily. It's just a heavenly tribulation. It can't do anything to Su Yin. Many disciples shouted excitedly. They were so excited that they couldn't speak coherently. They couldn't wait to run into the heavenly lake and give Su Yin a hug. That's right. Xiao Wen and the others laughed. They looked at Su Yin. Su Yin on the Big Dipper star, the overbearing Su Yin on the Divine Mountain Range, and the Su Yin who fought with Shuiguan. These shadows were like immortal imprints that would stay forever in their hearts. That was the symbol of invincibility in their hearts. How can a mortal monument collapse so easily? The Arcade Palace Master's expression was very ugly. The fall of the Arcade Palace Master was like a thorn in his heart that he couldn't pull out. However, the main culprit, Su Yin, had come back to life. This made the Arcade Palace Master so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. In fact, ever since Su Yin had fallen into a deep slumber until now, he still had his spiritual will. However, Su Yin didn't dare to wake up. He was worried that once his life force burned, it would attract the attention of the heavenly tribulation again. Therefore, Su Yin had been in a deep slumber. However, now, he couldn't take it anymore. The injuries to his body were too severe. If he couldn't solve the problem in time, his foundation would be completely damaged. Su Yin violently coughed up a mouthful of blood. He was in great pain. His body was filled with excruciating pain. This feeling was like being smashed by a mountain, being hit by a star, being slashed by a killing sword, being burned by a raging fire. The excruciating pain that tore at his mind attacked Su Yin. It made Su Yin feel so much pain that he wanted to die. He would rather commit suicide than endure this pain. Su Yin, Star Element, and the others' expressions changed. They saw that Su Yan's situation was even worse. His broken body was on the verge of shattering. Even his flesh and blood were falling off piece by piece. His injuries were too severe. Even the energy of the heavenly lake was of limited help to Su Yin. If I die, you guys can just bury me. Su Yin let out a miserable laugh. He didn't know if he could stand up again. He didn't want to bring disaster to Bamboo Moon, the old Star Master, or even Hokuto. Don't talk nonsense. You can definitely stand up. Tao Xingyang's eyes turned red. He roared, "Get the life-saving medicine immediately. You must protect Su Yin. There's a great chance now. Su Yin, you must not give up. Su Yin, are you really unable to hold on?" Chapter 610. I think you're getting more and more out of hand. Star Element was enraged. His entire body was suffused with golden divine light. He was like a war lion awakening. His blood energy was vigorous and roaring. Star Element's pupils were filled with chaotic energy. He had already become a deity, and his battle prowess was astonishing. After all, Star Element was much younger now. He was definitely not a match for those old monsters who had been sitting for thousands of years. The mountains shook and the earth shook. Star Element's treasured body emitted a dazzling divine light. There was a faint sign that he was going to fight. What does Star Element have to do with you? The old Alcade Palace Master was not afraid at all. He smiled sinisterly. I'm talking to Su Yin. Why are you interrupting? Moreover, Hokuto has helped Su Yin so much. Shouldn't you show some appreciation? After all, it would be a waste if all the things you've learned were buried with you. Many elders fell silent. They thought about it carefully and found it to be true. Su Yin was able to have his current achievements because of the scriptures he cultivated and the divine abilities he grasped. They were all top-notch secret techniques. If he could control this batch of treasures, it would be of great help to Hokuto. Su Yin coldly looked at the old Alcade Palace Master. He closed his eyes. His broken body had absorbed the life essence in the heavenly lake. Now that his body was withered, he needed a long time to recuperate. He might not even be able to recover. The problem was bad. Su Yin was thinking of a countermeasure to avoid this calamity. I really didn't expect that Su Yin wouldn't even say a word when things have reached this stage. The old Mizar Palace Master shook his head and said disappointedly, "My Big Dipper sect has declined, and we really need some legacy." In the past, the hope of my sect's younger generation rising up was on Su Yin. But now, you are struggling at death's door and only have a single breath left. Although it would make you feel wrong to leave behind your legacy and treasures, I really didn't expect him to not say a word. You really don't deserve to be called eldest senior brother. They felt that Su Yin could no longer hold on. Even if he woke up with such serious injuries, it was impossible for him to get up in a short period of time. You guys have gone too far. Tao Xingyang turned his head abruptly and glared at them. Let's not talk about whether Su Yin needs to leave anything for Hokuto. Based on Su Yan's current situation, do you think you can write anything? I think you guys want to force him to his death. How preposterous. What good can this do for you? Tao Xingyang, you're wrong. The old Alcade Palace Master said angrily. You have also seen Su Yan's current situation. The chances of him recovering are extremely slim. If we don't seize the time now, there won't be any hope in the future. Star Element, what are you doing? The old Mizar Hall Master fiercely pointed at Star Element. When he realized that Star Element had taken out a jar of starry sky heavenly liquid, he angrily rebuked. He is not worth saving. Yet you're taking out my sect's resources to help Su Yin. Have you lost your mind? This belongs to me. Do you think I can use it however I want? What does it have to do with you? Star Element coldly replied. He opened the jar, and a silver liquid flowed out. It was like a small galaxy flowing down, brilliant and dazzling. This was the precious liquid of life collected from a starry sky. It could be considered a kind of holy medicine for healing injuries. It would definitely be useful for Su Yan's injuries. Damn it. The old Mizar Hall Master and the others had ugly expressions. Star Element and the others were determined to help Su Yin, so they couldn't force their way in. After all, Su Yan's prestige in Hokuto was very high, especially among the younger generation. Buzz. The jar of starry sky, heavenly liquid, was sprinkled on Su Yan's broken body. It was like sweet dew from the heavens. Su Yan's broken body glowed, and the withered life force inside started to faintly surge. This was a sign that he was beginning to recover. This was the scene of surviving a calamity. This made Tao Xingyang extremely surprised. As expected, the holy medicine was very helpful to Su Yin. As long as Su Yin could recover from some of his injuries, he would only need to recuperate, and he would be able to get back on his feet again. Just as Su Yan's qi and blood were regenerated and his life force was reignited, his body was filled with the aura of myriad tribulations. This was the scar caused by the heavenly tribulation on Su Yin. It was as if the killing intent of the myriad tribulations had existed in his body for a long time. This was just like when Su Yan's body was damaged when he was young. Puffed. Su Yin coughed up blood. The life force that had just been ignited in his body was extinguished. The myriad tribulations had caused him too much damage. Su Yan's body trembled violently, as if his life force was about to be scattered. Not good. Star Element and the others turned pale with fright. How could this be? There was clearly hope of recovery earlier, and Su Yan had also survived. How could Su Yan's injuries continue to worsen? They even felt that the life force in Su Yan's body was declining continuously, as if it was about to fall back to its starting point. Haha, a jar of starry sky, heavenly liquid, has been wasted for nothing. The old Alcade Hall master sneered. This thing can create a genius and improve their body. It's wasted on a cripple. Bastard. Feng Xiaomu and the others wanted to kick the old Alcade Hall master to death. If it were Su Yan in his glory days, he wouldn't even dare to fart. However, Su Yan was now in trouble. He didn't think that Su Yan would be able to get back on his feet. There's still hope. Following which, with the help of many doyens, Su Yan's life essence was preserved and hadn't been completely extinguished. This meant that Su Yan could still be saved. A doyen proficient in medicine said that Su Yan had been injured by the heavenly tribulation and had to recover in a short period of time. Otherwise, there would be serious problems in the future. Su Yan, on the other hand, was silent. To be precise, he was silent in the boundless myriad tribulations. As long as he comprehended the myriad tribulations, he would be able to solve the problem of his body. He felt that this wasn't difficult at all. What he needed to solve now was his dying body. Su Yan first thought of the yin-yang fish. He had an impulse to capture the Fish King. However, his thoughts flickered. There were too many eyes here. Once the matter of the yin-yang Fish King was exposed, the Mizar Hall Master and the others would definitely interfere. In that case, he could only wait for the old Star Lord or Bamboo Moon to come out of seclusion before he could take action. Su Yan had seen their faces clearly just now. No matter what they said, he couldn't act blindly without thinking. You're wasting my sex resources. The Mizar Hall Master and the others were furious. They pointed at Xing Jingfu and the others. These disciples had taken out many precious resources and placed them in the heavenly lake. There were even many healing items that were directly sprinkled on Su Yan's broken body. These are the mountains and rivers that eldest senior brother fought for in the immortal spiritual mountain range. We've gained a lot from them. Shaowen replied with a sneer. We've even taken out more and sent it to the treasury. The effects we've produced aren't any less than yours. We've used our contribution points to exchange for these. We didn't use your resources. The younger generation acted on their own initiative in exchange for all kinds of precious items. This also caused the heavenly lake's energy to become even more vigorous. Su Yan's broken body floated in the lake, receiving the nourishment of a huge amount of divine liquid. This could preserve the vitality of the human body and even strengthen the vitality of the body. Many doyens were very gratified. Hokuto's younger generation could be so united. There was hope for them to rise up in the future. The number of great Dao realm cultivators among the younger generation continued to increase, far exceeding their expectations. I have a sacred medicine fruit here. Another disciple with a powerful aura walked over and took out a green treasured fruit. The fruit contained a vast amount of life essence, and its medicinal effects were vigorous and surging like tides. In fact, the air currents it emitted were especially cool. This was indeed a healing sacred fruit. Under the expectant gazes of Star Element and the others, the disciple held the sacred fruit and walked over, wanting to dissolve it and flow into Su Yan's body. Su Yan's broken body trembled violently. A sense of danger assaulted him, causing his scalp to turn numb. His eyes instantly widened in anger, and he let out a low roar like a wild beast. He was really furious. This was because this disciple had raised his palm and fiercely chopped down on Su Yan's head, wanting to kill him. Stop! Star Element and the others were so angry that their eyes were about to pop out. There was a disciple who brazenly made a move, wanting to kill Su Yan directly. Su Yan, it's time for you to go on your way. You shouldn't continue living. Your legend has already come to an end. This disciple's face was so malevolent that it was distorted. It was clear that he was a chosen death warrior. He wasn't prepared to live on and wanted to kill Su Yin ruthlessly. Scram! All of a sudden, Su Yin, whose aura had declined to the extreme, burned fiercely. Even though he was injured to this extent, he wasn't someone who could be humiliated by anyone. His broken body emitted a terrifying, ominous light, filled with an ominous aura. Pung! This disciple's palm had just struck toward Su Yin when it directly exploded. Half of his body was almost destroyed. What? The faces of the old Mizar Palace Master and the others turned pale. How could this be? Su Yin was already injured to this extent, so how could he continue to erupt with such combat strength? Tao Zhengyang and the others rushed forward in unison, but the old Arcade Hall Master was even faster. He had already rushed here and shattered the disciple's skull with his palm. He angrily rebuked, "You've got guts. You even dare to kill such a meritorious subject like Su Yin. Don't you know that Su Yin still has to engrave a great divine ability for our race? How could you be so ruthless? Who told you to kill him? Tell me, was it you who told him to go over?" Tao Xingyang's eyes widened in anger. He decisively brought out a battle spear and pointed it at the old Arcade Hall Master. "What does this have to do with me? If I hadn't acted in time just now, Su Yin would still be alive?" The old Arcade Hall Master argued. His voice was so loud that it shook the heavens and earth. Uft! Su Yan's broken body trembled violently and was about to collapse. This was a deity harboring evil intentions. He wanted to kill Su Yin with a roar. "You shut up." Tao Xingyang was enraged. He brandished his battle spear and hacked at the old Arcade Hall Master. His other hand rose up to cover Su Yan's broken body. Su Yan's situation worsened once again. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood, and his blood-stained hair was disheveled. He was incomparably indignant. This was truly a case of a tiger being bullied by a dog. His injuries were even worse. His body continued to shatter and was about to completely rot away. The elders in the surroundings turned pale. Why did they feel that Su Yin was about to pass away? Eldest senior brother, Xiao Wen, and the others couldn't hold back and rushed over. They let out roars and wanted nothing more than to swallow the old Arcade Hall Master whole. The entire scene was in chaos as killing intent spread out in all directions. Star Element and the others were extremely angry and even on high alert. Someone was secretly making a move to eliminate Su Yin. Look! Suddenly, someone saw an adorable and beautiful little girl appear in the heavenly lake. The little girl's appearance was extremely sudden. As she saw Su Yan's broken body, the Big Dipper Divine Medicine's eyes turned red. Drops of tears rolled down her cheeks. She was crying loudly. It sounded extremely sad and sorrowful. As her tears fell onto Su Yan's broken body, they sprang up like bamboo shoots after a rain. Su Yan's body that had declined to the extreme suddenly blazed up. It was as if he had eaten a great tonic. His broken body was reconstructed, and the withered blood energy in his body became a bit stronger. What? Star Element and the others were scared out of their wits. What was this? The tears that flowed out were comparable to divine medicines. This was too frightening. It's a divine medicine. This is a supreme good fortune. Chapter 6:11. Star Element and the others were stunned. Suddenly, a little girl appeared. She was beautiful, and her body was covered in holy light. It could be said that she was pure and flawless. She suddenly appeared in front of Su Yin without them noticing. It had to be said that this little girl was a little scary and strange. In fact, when Su Yin came to the heavenly lake to recover, the Big Dipper Godly Medicine had already noticed him. But there were too many people here, and the Big Dipper Godly Medicine was frightened and didn't dare to come out. But now, Su Yan's injuries continued to worsen. He was about to die and disappear from the world. The Big Dipper Godly Medicine finally came out crying. Its two little hands shook Su Yin. It was very sad and sad. She was crying. Drop after drop of crystal clear tears rolled down Su Yan's broken body. Wong. Su Yan's broken body burned. That was the essence of the Big Dipper Godly Medicine. Even the tears that came out were the essence. How could a healing saint medicine be compared to an origin divine medicine? Moreover, It was an origin divine medicine. Every drop of tears contained the essence of the Big Dipper godly medicine. It was enough to regenerate flesh and bones. It could pull a dying person back from the gates of death. The fatal wounds on Su Yan's body were healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The flame of life inside his body, which had declined to the extreme and was about to be extinguished, suddenly became vigorous again. The essence of the Big Dipper godly medicine shocked the world. It made Su Yan's broken bones glow and heat, and they showed signs of healing. One could imagine how shocking the medicinal properties of the Big Dipper godly medicine's tears were. Tao Xingyang and the others were stunned. This was without a doubt a Big Dipper godly medicine. Moreover, it was a Big Dipper godly medicine that had already transformed. They couldn't react for a moment. In fact, the number of experts in Hokuto who knew about the Big Dipper godly medicine could be counted on one hand. "Don't be afraid," Su Yin said weakly. He opened his eyes with a smile on his face. Looking at the crying Big Dipper divine medicine, he felt very warm. He even wanted to reach out his hand and touch the little guy's head. However, Su Yan's strength was too weak. His injuries were still serious, and it was difficult for him to move. When the Big Dipper godly herb saw Su Yan's powerful life force and the healing of his wounds, she was stunned. She pursed her lips and prepared to spit out a mouthful of origin energy to prolong Su Yan's life. The life chi of a divine herb was too precious. It would cause serious damage to the divine herb. Back then, Su Yan didn't obtain her life chi, but a strand of source energy. However, life chi was equivalent to a part of the divine herb. No, the eyes of Alcade Palace Master and the others were red to the point where they were turning purple. They had already rushed over, incomparably close to the divine medicine. Their hearts were full of fanaticism and excitement. As long as they could capture the divine medicine alive, they would be able to swallow it. He might even become a divine king. This was such a terrifying opportunity. How could they give it up so easily? Divine medicine, haha, this is a stock of divine medicine. Star Element and the others' eyes were about to split open as they roared. In fact, the moment the Big Dipper godly herb appeared, they were already thinking that this was Hokuto's divine medicine. They definitely couldn't let it be destroyed or scared away. Meanwhile, Alcade Palace Master and the others were almost at the end of their lifespans. The divine medicine was a fatal temptation to them. They would definitely pay any price to obtain the divine medicine. This was a supreme treasure that could prolong their lives. How could I not go crazy? These bastards are rotten to the core. When I get up, I'll kill all of you. Su Yan was incomparably furious. However, it was difficult for them to get up. Several experts rushed over, emitting powerful auras. The Big Dipper godly herb was so frightened that it turned pale. It looked pitiful and helpless, and its brain seemed to have short-circuited. However, the moment they touched the Big Dipper godly herb, the Big Dipper's origin energy awakened on its own and helped the Big Dipper godly herb resist. Could it be the origin divine medicine? Star Element and the others turned pale with fright. They hurriedly shouted, "Stop! You've frightened the divine medicine. Don't even think about living." "I don't think so. Perhaps it's a demonic transformation with the intention of harming our sex, Su Yan." Alcade Palace Master and the others wouldn't give up so easily. They all roared loudly and shook off the Big Dipper's origin energy. They all reached out to grab the Big Dipper godly herb. Even if they couldn't obtain the whole thing, obtaining an arm or a calf would be a great fortune. Buzz. However, they had underestimated the Big Dipper godly herb. Although it was weak, its speed was especially fast. It could almost teleport within the Big Dipper starfield and disappear with a flash of lightning. "Where do you think you're going?" They unleashed their strongest battle strength and opened up layers of space as they chased after the Big Dipper godly herb. Star Element and the others also rushed over to stop the group of crazy elders. Their lifespans were almost at the end of their lifespans. There was no treasure more tempting than the divine medicine. The appearance of the divine medicine threw Hokuto into chaos. Not good. At this moment, Xing Jingfu's petite body emitted an overflowing starlight. Under the illumination of her eyes, a shadow was rapidly approaching Su Yin. Su Yin, the Alcade Palace Master died in your hands. I wonder how you feel now that you've died in my hands? Hee hee. Unfortunately, you don't even have time to think. This old man will take your life now. The Alcade Palace Master's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was cold as he rapidly approached Su Yin. He wanted to behead Su Yin. Old thing, you're crazy. Xiao Wan and the others madly rushed over. The dozen young disciples were very fast. They were originally very close to the heavenly lake, so their speed was naturally very fast. They formed a defensive line to stop the Alcade Palace Master. A group of juniors dare to block my path. Scram! The Alcade Palace Master was very disdainful. He was an old god. When the aura in his body was released, the entire area became gloomy. All kinds of divine aura rippled out, as if 100,000 mountains were arranged here. An incomparably powerful aura rushed forward. The dozen young disciples trembled violently, and many of them were directly sent flying. They coughed out large mouthfuls of blood, and their bodies were about to shatter. They were aghast. The divine spirit was too frightening, especially when the Alcade Palace Master's combat strength was at the peak. Although Xing Jingfu and the others were barely able to resist, their bodies staggered as they retreated. You still dare to block my path here. Reckless fool. You have to respect your elders. The Alcade Palace Master's eyes were filled with killing intent. Layers of vast aura were released from his body. The divine light was like a rolling tsunami, causing Xing Jingfu and the others to tremble. One by one, they fell to the ground uncontrollably. You really want to rebel? You're all crazy. Star Element rushed back. The divine light in his body burst out, as if a huge star was rushing over from afar. However, the Alcade Palace Master's speed was even faster. He was already closing in on Su Yin. He raised his palm and attacked towards Su Yan's head. Don't! Have mercy! Cries of surprise came from all directions. Su Yan's injuries were too severe. He couldn't withstand the power of a divine spirit. Even if it was a slight collision, Su Yan's injuries would worsen again with his current condition. He couldn't afford such torment. Do you really think you can take me down? Su Yan looked at the Alcade Palace Master with cold eyes. He said coldly, I can even kill the son of an almighty without hesitation. You're just a divine spirit with a withered lifespan. How dare you make a move on me? You're just a cripple who is about to die. How dare you speak rudely to me? I'll kill you, you evil creature. The Alcade Palace Master was enraged. His killing intent filled the void. Although his blood vitality was declining and his combat strength was no longer comparable to when he was young, he was still terrifying when he went berserk. He shattered the void as a sea of killing intent surged forth. But when this strength approached Su Yin, an extremely heavy strength appeared between the heavens and earth, blocking the Alcade Palace Master's advance. Su Yin seemed to have disappeared. It was like he was sitting in another universe, looking down at the Alcade Palace Master. Even though he was a divine spirit, Su Yin was still looking down on him from high above in the Big Dipper Star region. Now he was looking down on his own people. This gaze, this attitude, this caused the Alcade Palace Master to go mad with anger. No matter what, Su Yin was still a junior. He didn't have the qualifications to confront a divine spirit of the older generation. This was especially true when Su Yin was severely injured and was looking down on him with contempt. You are really courting death. I originally wanted to leave you with an intact corpse, but there is no need for that now. You even dare to provoke a divine spirit. Do you think you have 3 lives? You're just a cripple. The Alcade Palace Master roared out again and again. His roars caused the world to tremble and the void to shatter, especially the area in front of him that was suppressed. Layer after layer collapsed as all sorts of terrifying light beams shot towards Su Yin. The Alcade Palace Master used his full strength. He wanted to kill Su Yin. In any case, his lifespan was limited. He felt that if he didn't kill Su Yin would definitely target the Alcade Palace Master in the future. Even if he killed Su Yin, the Alcade Palace Master wouldn't necessarily die. Bang! It was as if the heavens and earth were being split apart. The energy ripples overflowed in all directions. As everything rushed towards Su Yin, the Alcade Palace Master continued to descend. Wave after wave of energy came crashing down from the heavens, as if the Milky Way was crashing down from the highest heavens. This supreme world source aura was like the awakening of slumbering God. Bang! Within Su Yan's ruined body, a terrifying imprint appeared. It was like the condensed Big Dipper star domain had been branded between his eyebrows. What was this? This was the Big Dipper Supreme imprint. As it illuminated the entire Hokuto, all of the universe's origin energy gathered together, forming an unparalleled source of energy that could suppress any life form. Bang! Under the dazed gazes of everyone, the star domain's origin energy turned into a giant palm that blotted out the skies. It came crashing down from the heavens, ruthlessly suppressing the Alcade Palace Master. The Alcade Palace Master let out a miserable cry. His old body showed signs of collapsing. This was the Big Dipper's origin energy. It rumbled endlessly as it came crashing down, turning into a giant hand that struck him until he howled in grief. "You still want to kill me? I'll kill you." Su Yan's giant hand rose up. It was as if the heavenly winds were dancing and the stars in the sky were being pushed aside. A giant slap came crashing down, causing the Alcade Palace Master's face to collapse. He spat out 7 or 8 teeth, and cracks appeared on his skull. Wah! Chapter 612. The void was dyed with blood, and mournful screams reverberated between heaven and earth. Under the dumbfounded gazes of the surroundings, the Alcade Palace Master, who had been mocking and ridiculing Su Yin and calling him a cripple, an old monster who had lived for 7,000 to 8,000 years, and an old god whose lifespan was about to dry up, was slapped repeatedly. Now, he was being slapped by Su Yin again and again until his face was unrecognizable. Blood flowed from his mouth and nose. His appearance was as miserable as it could be. He was like a ferocious ghost, howling and roaring malevolently. He was a god, and now that he was being slapped by Su Yin, one could imagine how humiliating and despairing it was. He wished he could just kill himself. He wasn't willing to bear the strange gazes of the surrounding people. Kill him. Xiao Wen and the others were furious. The old god had attacked the heavily injured Su Yin. It was too much. That's the Big Dipper imprint. Even more experts were aghast. They saw the burning imprint between Su Yan's eyebrows. It was as resplendent as the condensed Big Dipper star field. It emitted all kinds of origin energy and contained great power. It represented Su Yan's current status. Supreme Big Dipper. Ha! I knew it was eldest senior brother. A disciple roared excitedly. He was the legitimate Supreme Big Dipper. Once he obtained this title, his status would be equal to that of a god. However, what made them turn pale with fright was that Su Yin could directly control the origin source energy. This was too frightening. Although it was said that star domain supremes were in an invincible position in their star domains, Su Yin was still able to control the origin source energy. But to use the Big Dipper imprint to suppress a god? This was a fool's dream. It was simply impossible. Many people had forgotten that Su Yin was also a 6th grade expert. With his methods and the Big Dipper imprint, he could operate between heaven and earth. In other words, Su Yin could also control the origin energy that existed in the star field. This was a little frightening. Even a god was being suppressed by him, slapping him one after another. Alcade Palace Master was beaten until he howled miserably. He was as miserable as he could be. Su Yin had been suppressing the anger in his heart. Now, he couldn't help but let out. He even dared to kill the son of a powerful being. Now that he was targeting a god, why wouldn't Su Yin do it? The moment he came up, he gave him a vicious beating. Su Yin was truly infuriated. Putting aside his past contributions to Hokuto, just the fact that he had obtained the Northern Dipper Supreme imprint had benefited the entire Northern Dipper constellation, causing Hokuto's origin energy to skyrocket. This was already a great contribution. However, the old Alcade Palace Master was a doyen of Hokuto, yet he still had the cheek to target the heavily injured Su Yin. This infuriated Su Yin to the extreme. He continued to deliver heavy blows, beating the old Alcade Palace Master to the point of despair. He even felt killing intent. No, the old Alcade Palace Master was somewhat terrified. Su Yin wanted to kill him and kill him. Are you regretting it now? Su Yin said coldly. Old thing, you've targeted me time and time again, and you even want to kill me. You're really shameless. A dignified god actually has the face to target a junior like me. I'll kill you right now. Boom! Su Yin's palm came chopping down at lightning speed. He had activated an even stronger origin energy, enough to kill the old Alcade Palace Master with a single slap. Oof. Junior, you're really audacious. You even dare to kill a god of Hokuto in Hokuto. Who gave you the guts? All of a sudden, a heavy pressure swept over, instantly covering the entire place. Even the great Dao realm experts felt like their guts were being torn apart. The group of Doyens who were fighting over the divine medicine all stopped. They were all stunned by this might. In the sky, a figure became clearer and clearer, awakening along with endless chaos. His voice was so loud that it could split the sky. He was like a god of the heavens. His figure covered the sky and the sun, causing the starry sea of 100,000 li to tremble. Heavenly deity! The faces of Star Element and the others turned pale. This was a heavenly deity. Deities were different from heavenly deities. Heavenly deities could initially develop a domain. In this domain, heavenly deities could be said to be the rulers. The origin energy of the star region that Su Yin had activated was completely suppressed by the heavenly deity's aura. He was too powerful and terrifying. He had the sky above his head, looking down on the world. He was as terrifying as a starry sky heavenly dragon. The great Dao realm cultivators all trembled. This was a heavenly deity who could easily incinerate mountains and boil seas. He could establish a domain world and suppress kings. Of course, this was also a powerhouse that was ridiculously old. He was so thin that he was nothing more than skin and bones, but he still involuntarily exuded an aura that suppressed the entire universe. The world he resided in was dim and lightless, but this person was the only one that existed eternally. If one observed carefully, they could see that the starry sky in the outer realm was moving along with him. One could imagine how powerful heavenly deities were. They could control the power of heaven and earth, develop chaos, and suppress all living things. Elder Han, please uphold justice for me. The old Alcade Palace Master acted as if he had seen his own father. His hair was disheveled, and his body was covered in blood. He cried out miserably, "Uphold justice for me." Elder Han, Su Yan's expression changed drastically. Xing Jingfu even instantly transmitted a message to Su Yan. He was the most ancient person of Han Jin's lineage. He was even an expert of the same generation as the old Star Lord, Han Jin Yuan. Han Jin was killed by Su Yan. Back then, he was killed by him in Alcade City. How could he forget that matter? In Hokuto, the Xing family and the Han family were the strongest. The old Star Lord was the most ancient person of the Xing family. Han Jin Yuan wasn't weak either. He was a heavenly deity, but he had always been suppressed by the old Star Lord. Tao Xingyang's expression changed slightly. He walked up and shouted, "Elder Han." He was the one who attacked first. He wanted to kill the eldest senior brother of my sect's disciple. He has committed a heinous crime. Shut up. Han Jinyuan's expression was cold. When a heavenly deity was angered, the sun and moon would lose their light, and the mountains and rivers would lose their color. An ocean-like killing intent came crashing down, causing the entire world to tremble. It was filled with all sorts of austere auras, causing all the disciples to feel as if they had fallen into an ice cave. A heavenly deity was too strong. When he was angered, he could kill millions of people. This was an expert who was second only to the divine king. Han Jinyuan's cold eyes stared at Su Yan. "So you are Su Yan, the great son of Alcade. The eldest senior brother of my sect, and many other disciples were killed by you. Are you going to settle the score after the autumn?" Xing Jingfu's expression was ugly. She tried to contact Bamboo Moon, but she realized that there was no response from Bamboo Moon. Bamboo Moon was now breaking through to the heavenly deity realm. It was impossible to wake her up. That's because Star Element walked up, wanting to explain. He even wanted to stall for time. I didn't ask you. Han Jinyuan's cold eyes looked at Star Element. How strong was he? The anger of a heavenly deity could burn mountains and boil seas. The entire world revolved around him. Han Jinyuan could even control all the killing formations in Hokuto. No one could stop him. Time and time again, Su Yan was about to reply, but Han Jinyuan was very aggressive. He shouted, "What nonsense are you talking about? I'm asking you if you killed them." "I killed them." Su Yan was also angry. Han Jinyuan must be looking for trouble. He needed an excuse. "Okay, it's good that you admit it," Han Jinyuan said coldly. "How dare you? I don't care how strong your potential is or how much you've contributed to the Big Dipper sect. If you dare to kill a single person from the Big Dipper sect, you're my Big Dipper sect's enemy." Ha ha ha. Su Yan looked up and laughed angrily. "You really talk big." Back then, at the Immortal Mountain, the Ancestral Hall, and the Dark Underworld tribe killed so many people from Hokuto. Why don't you go and avenge your dead disciples? Su Yan's words ignited the anger of many young people. Back then, they had almost been completely annihilated. It was Su Yan who had stood up and blocked the calamity for them. Even after that, Su Yan had dug out so many treasures in the forbidden area and handed them over. However, Han Jinyuan stood up and made it clear that he wanted to make things difficult for Su Yan. He must be targeting him. "You're right, but all of this started because of you." Han Jinyuan pointed at him and sneered. "You're just an evil creature from the burial realm. Although I don't know how you got into Hokuto, you shouldn't be here." "Bastard." Su Yan's eyes burned with anger. He growled, "What do you want? Just say it. Let him go and get out of here." Han Jinyuan's words made Star Element and the others furious. Asking Su Yan to leave was the same as asking him to die. Even if the others did not interfere, the Arcade Hall Master would be the first to kill Su Yan. "Valspawn, let me go, or you'll die in my grave." The Arcade Hall Master laughed angrily. "Hurry up. Don't waste time. You are a smart person. You should know the consequences." In the next moment, a miserable wail reverberated in this area. The body of the old Palace Master of Arcade Hall was blasted apart by Su Yan's slap. Blood flowed all over the ground. The ground was filled with shattered bones and flesh. The surrounding people were stunned. It was as if they were really seeing the all-powerful madman Su in the Immortal Mountain. He even dared to kill the son of a mighty figure. Now, he even dared to kill the Arcade Hall Master in front of a heavenly god. The atmosphere was extremely cold. Anyone could feel the wrath of a heavenly god. Han Jinyuan's aged body was filled with cold anger and killing intent. He laughed, revealing a mouth full of white teeth. He said coldly, "The younger generation will surpass us in time. You even dare to kill in front of me. I have changed my mind. Now, inform the Ancestral Hall and let them take him away." Hokuto was instantly thrown into chaos. Letting the Ancestral Hall take him away was equivalent to sending Su Yan to a dead end. "Why are you only saying what you are thinking now?" Su Yan sneered. "For your own selfish desires. How are you different from that old thing Han Jin? He deserves to be killed. You should atone for your sins with your death. You really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. I will suppress you now." Han Jinyuan's aged palm came crashing down. His eyes were emitting flames of fury. He wanted to suppress Su Yan and torture him for a period of time before handing him to the Ancestral Hall. "Who dares to hurt my brother?" Suddenly, shadows with powerful auras rushed over from afar. Their speed was too fast. With Xiao Wen leading the way, they rushed all the way here. Originally, Han Jinyuan was stunned. When he saw that it was a group of juniors, he laughed angrily. "Looks like I have to catch all of you in one fell swoop. Who is so awesome?" Chapter 613. Everyone present was dumbfounded. All of them were flabbergasted. Many disciples scratched their heads in confusion. What was going on? After all, Yuan and the others had arrived too suddenly. The disciples who had trained in the divine, spiritual mountains back then were especially excited. Whether it was Yuan or Tensor, they were all familiar with them. Back then, Su Yin had suffered a calamity in the Ancestral Hall's resource lands. That battle was unforgettable even to this day. That was a battle where 4 great experts joined forces to overturn the Ancestral Hall's resource lands. Corpses were strewn across hundreds of thousands of li. They fought until the heavens collapsed and the earth split open. All living creatures were terrified. They were all experts among the younger generation and were decisive in killing. There was no need to mention Tensor's first-generation supreme physique's combat strength. Although Yuan was a bit weaker than Tensor, the blood-colored spear Yuan was holding was suffused with all kinds of terrifying radiance. It was as though a slumbering divine king was awakening. This was a divine king weapon. Back then, it had almost killed Bamboo Moon. This treasure was now exuding the power it should have. Although it was a damaged divine king weapon, in Yuan's hands, it made him seem like a blood-colored demonic god. Of course, all of this was secondary. Tai Baokai ran over and said a few words that almost made the senior elders fall to the ground. They were all dumbfounded as they looked at Tai Baocai's fiendish appearance. This was too awesome. He had come up and threatened to make Han Jinyuan kneel and sing in submission. They couldn't help but shiver as they recalled the scene of Han Jinyuan kneeling and singing. A wisp of cold air swept over from Hokuto. There was a strange silence in the sky and on the ground. The cultivators gathered here were all breathing heavily. Many people felt stifled because Han Jinyuan's old face was so ugly that it was as if he had eaten a pile of shit. His expression was as ugly as it could be. What kind of situation was this? He, a dignified heavenly deity, was actually being humiliated by a junior. This was the first time Han Jinyuan, who had lived for so long, had encountered such an awesome creature. Boom! Strands of bone-chilling killing intent were released from Han Jinyuan's body. It was as if a purgatory had been born in this world. Some people could faintly hear the roars of gods and demons, sending out furious thoughts that wanted to tear apart the heavens and split the seas. The sky turned gloomy. After all, Han Jinyuan was a heavenly deity. His aura was extremely gloomy and terrifying. Tai Baokai, men, come, take this beast down and crush it. Han Jinyuan was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. Kneel down and swear allegiance? He felt that even if he killed Tai Baokai, there would be people who would talk about it after dinner for a period of time in the future. Flames of fury surged between heaven and earth, making the sun, moon, rivers, and mountains lose their color. The fury of a heavenly deity made the mountains and valleys rumble. In addition, the void shattered inch by inch, as if a sea I was rapidly enlarging. They filled the entire ancient star sea. Don't be so reckless. Elder Han is clearly targeting eldest senior brother because of Han Jin's death. I think he's stalling for time. Many disciples were very anxious. They all knew Tai Baokai. They even knew how powerful he was. In fact, if it wasn't for Su Yan's ferocious power in the Immortal Mountain Range, Tai Baokai would also be a famous young expert in the universe. In those years, there were many rising experts in the Immortal Mountain Range. However, because of Su Yan's rise and the heaven-defying killing of 3 young giants, his current prestige was really terrifying. If it wasn't for the fact that he had been dormant for 2 years and the storm in the universe had decreased sharply, Madman Su would still be the best topic of conversation in the major star regions. Now, Tai Baokai had completely enraged Han Jinyuan. His desire to kill Su Yin was even stronger than his desire to kill him. You evil creature. If I don't peel off your skin and pull out your tendons, what will happen to the prestige of the Immortal Mountain Range? The Mizar Hall Master's eyes were extremely cold. The death of the Alcade Hall Master made him angry and fearful. He felt that Su Yin was too dangerous. He was now the Big Dipper sovereign and could control the universe's origin power. He could even suppress gods. The current Su Yin made him feel threatened. In the past, they had targeted Su Yin time and time again. Maybe Su Yin would target them when he became stronger in the future. Then, he might end up like the All-Cade Hall Master. No matter what, they wanted to get rid of Su Yin or hand Su Yin over to the Ancestral Hall in exchange for the 3 Divine King weapons. Old bastard, you're just a lackey. How dare you speak rudely to this beast god? Tai Baotsai's mouth was too venomous. He raised his big round head and spat out a mouthful of saliva. Do you know who this beast god is? I'll give you a chance to kneel down and break one of your arms. I'll let you die an easy death. Tensor shuddered. He felt that Tai Baokai was too dangerous. Once he had enough strength, he would definitely become a dangerous leader who would stir up trouble in the universe. You evil creature, you've angered this old man to death. Hand over your life. The Mizar Hall Master let out a furious roar and suddenly rushed forward. After all, he was a god. There was no need to talk about his combat strength. His old body was suffused with chaotic airflow. He was like a furious god erupting. The boundless killing intent was like a waterfall as it bombarded Tai Baokai. Su Yan's body tensed up. He was really worried that something would happen to Tai Baokai. However, since they dared to rush in now, they must have something to rely on. In fact, Tai Baokai and the others had already rushed to the Big Dipper during the changes in the Big Dipper Star region. They had no choice but to stand out and see if they could intimidate Han Jinyuan. When the power of the gods rushed towards Tai Baokai, what surprised the surrounding cultivators was that the space between Tai Baotsai's brows shone resplendently. Immortal splendor shot out in all directions, followed by an exceptionally brilliant golden radiance. It was as if a giant beast was slumbering in his sea of consciousness. Boom! In an instant, the void collapsed. It was as if a peerless immortal sword was unsheathed. Demonic aura surged from Tai Baotsai's forehead as a peerless great demon erupted. It was a golden hoof. The moment it struck out, it was as if an ancient star was crashing into it. This hoof was too frightening. It exploded the primal chaos, and the energy fluctuations it emitted caused the Mizar Hall Master to turn pale with fright. He felt as if his body would explode along with the hoof. Stop! Han Jinyuan's expression changed drastically. He stretched out his hand. The seemingly withered palm was, in fact, a gigantic palm that could blot out the sun. It contained the power of heaven and earth. This was the power of a heavenly god. It was absolutely terrifying. A light palm could pluck the stars and capture the moon. The combat strength of a heavenly god was too great. It immediately struck out and blocked the golden hoof. Old bastard, it's not your turn to swear allegiance yet. Allow this beast deity to suppress this old bastard first. Tai Baokai was arrogant and fearless. He was too confident, implying that he also had a backer. He madly charged forward. The demonic aura rising from between his brows became even denser and more terrifying. It was as if there was a small universe hidden within his sea of consciousness. When the bull's roar exploded, even the massive astral treasure began to tremble. The surrounding cultivators turned pale with fright. A large number of them staggered backwards. This wasn't aimed at them. Otherwise, rivers of blood would surely flow. The roar was too terrifying. It was as if 100,000 golden mountains were lined up together and smashed forward. It struck Han Jinyuan's withered palm until it spilled the blood of a heavenly god. Save me. The Mizar Palace Master was extremely anxious. He took out all kinds of secret treasures in succession to block the radiance gushing out from between Baotsai's brows. However, the bull's roar shook heaven and earth. It could be said to be the roar of the primordial bull demon king. The roar caused the secret treasures the Mizar Palace Master took out to explode. Even his body began to tremble and spit out blood. The Mizar Palace Master screamed miserably as he was ruthlessly sent flying. The sound waves even surged into the sky and began to attack him. Bastard! Han Jinyuan was extremely angry. Just now, the All-Cade Palace Master had been killed by Su Yin. If the Mizar Palace Master also died in front of him, then he would lose 2 great generals. His control over Hokuto would plummet. Han Jinyuan rushed over and took out a dazzling divine spear. This was a weapon refined by a heavenly god. It could be called a primal chaos divine weapon. A primal chaos divine weapon wielded by a heavenly god was extremely powerful. In fact, it wasn't inferior to the divine king's weapon. After all, its wielder was a heavenly god. The divine spear soared through the sky. It was as thick as a mountain and emitted an incomparably powerful aura. All kinds of primal chaos radiance lingered around it. Heavenly God! Suyin clenched his fists. This heavenly god was too powerful. He was from man to heaven. One could well imagine how tyrannical this domain was. At present, the divine king was incomparably rare. Even among the peak races, he was an ancestor-level character. He was the stabilizing force of their race. And a heavenly god was definitely a pillar among pillars. A single person could support a great sect. Although Han Jinyuan's lifespan had been greatly reduced, he was truly going all out. That terrifying heavenly god aura destroyed the various lights emitted from between the bout-sized brows. Kill! Han Jinyuan directly rushed over. He felt that there was a supreme treasure hidden between the bout-sized brows. If he could obtain it, it would definitely be a great defensive killing weapon. Old bastard, you're in such a hurry to kneel down and swear allegiance. The Baokai said arrogantly. I'll fulfill your wish right now. You evil creature, I'll cut you down. The heavenly god roared angrily. His aura tore through the heavens like a great star from outer space. It carried all kinds of world-destroying lights and wanted to tear the Tai Baokai in two. You dare to speak rudely to this beast god. You've committed another crime. The bout-sized arrogance soared into the sky like a flying black rabbit. It soared into the sky with panda eyes and lowered its large round head as it let out a loud roar. Millions upon millions of layers of golden ripples gushed out from between its brows. The moment it poured out, its aura was similarly boundlessly terrifying. Boom! The primal chaos energy that filled the sky exploded. It seemed as if a divine king was hidden between the bout-sized brows. Its aura was fairly terrifying. It caused Han Jinyuan to turn pale with fright. The divine spear in his hand was trembling incessantly. Even that unstoppable force attacked his body, causing him to spit out blood. What? The Mizar Palace Master and the others were truly frightened. The Baokai grasped the power to kill heavenly gods. No wonder he was so confident. Damn it, I'll annihilate all of you. Han Jinyuan's eyes were about to split open. He was so angry that his hair stood on end. He was a dignified heavenly god, but he actually suffered a great loss in front of a junior. How could he let it go so easily? Swoosh! The bout-sized speed was extremely fast. It used ground shrink and crossed to Han Jinyuan's side. It raised its large round head and charged forward. It wanted to use the treasure hidden between its brows to get rid of Han Jinyuan. Dong! All of a sudden, ancient energy ripples appeared in the vast ancient star sea. Those were boundless silver ripples that surged out. At first, it looked very calm, but in an instant, it surged countless times more violently. It was like a vast ocean that traversed the 9 heavens. Chapter 614. Big Dipper Bell. Tao Xingyang's expression changed. This was one of the Big Dipper sect's sect-defining supreme treasures. The Big Dipper sect was noble as a pinnacle group of clans, so its foundation was definitely extremely shocking. In history, there had been many great experts that had left behind many sect-defining resources for the Big Dipper sect. But because of the sinking of the Big Dipper, Hokuto's resources were greatly damaged. But even so, many resources were preserved. This Big Dipper Bell was one of them, and it was also Hokuto's famous most valuable treasure. It was rumored that the Big Dipper Bell wasn't an almighty sacred weapon, but an origin treasure nurtured by the Big Dipper constellation. This origin treasure's power wasn't inferior to almighty sacred weapons. Moreover, the Big Dipper Bell floated in the ancient star sea all year round, absorbing the essence of the sun and moon to nourish the bell. As time passed, the Big Dipper Bell became more and more extraordinary. When it was awakened, The silver ripples were endless, and the sun, moon, and stars were engraved on the bell. When it was awakened, the sun, moon, and stars were awakened together. The scene was a little scary, as if they had returned to the era when the sky was created. The Big Dipper bell was terrifying beyond compare. With a slight tremble, the bell split the sky and earth. The silver bell spewed out all kinds of silver ripples and swooped down. During this process, the ripples became countless times more vast. Many disciples felt as if they had been struck by lightning. They were overwhelmed with shock, as if they would all be buried together with the silver ripples. Everyone could feel the world-destroying might emanating from the Big Dipper bell. Roar! Baukai let out a loud roar. His forehead was bright, and the golden ripples were rolling. Some people seemed to see a golden iron bull emerging from between Baotsai's eyebrows. The roar was loud enough to split mountains and seas. Su Yin suspected that Baukai had obtained the golden iron bull statue from Ox Village. The power of this secret treasure was too terrifying. The rolling golden waves burst out in a domineering manner, and the ancient star sea was dyed golden. Kill! Han Jinyuan was extremely jealous. He wanted to kill Tai Baokai and take away the mysterious treasure in his hands. The Big Dipper bell shone brightly like a giant bell that could swallow the sky. The bell contained an ancient sea of stars, and its aura was terrifying. No! Many disciples trembled in fear. They felt that once the Big Dipper bell erupted with its godly aura, they would all be annihilated in body and soul. After all, the situation was too sudden. The disciples simply didn't have time to retreat. Old fogey, if you want Hokuto and the other experts to die with you, then use the power of the Big Dipper bell and see how many people will die. Baokai let out a furious roar. It had never expected that Han Jinyuan would disregard the consequences and activate the power of the Big Dipper bell. If the Big Dipper bell and the golden iron bull statue collided, regardless of who won, it would be a devastating blow to Hokuto. The two sources of energy collided above the ancient star sea. On one side, it was as if the Milky Way of the nine heavens had converged, transforming into a gigantic silver bell that suppressed the nine heavens. One side was like a surging golden wave, converging into a golden iron bull. Its figure filled the sky, ferocious and domineering. These two relatively heaven-defying auras were confronting each other across space. As they pressed against each other, they were about to unleash an extremely powerful massacre. Once such a massacre collided, the consequences would be severe. A large number of Great Dao Realm experts would die. This caused Star Element to involuntarily let out a low bellow. Everyone, stop. If you have something to say, sit down and talk. If you continue fighting, the ones who will suffer will be our own people. Haha, our own people? Han Jinyuan stood in front of the Big Dipper bell. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes were cold as he shouted, "Outsiders have barged into our sect. By right, we should kill them on the spot. Otherwise, the expert from the outside world would be able to barge in as they wish. Ol Han, they are all important guests of Hokuto. They were personally nominated by the Star Lord." Shaowen said loudly. "If you don't believe me, you can go and investigate." "Impudent. I'm trying to find out the truth." "What nonsense are you, a junior spouting?" A hint of cold electricity flashed in Han Jinyuan's eyes. His furious rebuke caused Shaowen's countenance to change. Shaowen spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his internal organs showed signs of being shaken apart. "Scoundrel! Old Han, you've gone overboard." Xiaoyu was infuriated, and his eyes turned red. Shaowen was now Hokuto's legacy disciple. How could he withstand Han Jinyuan's direct rebuke? "Haha, I've gone overboard. If I hadn't stood up in time, our sect would have definitely been annihilated because of the young Star Lord's stubbornness." Han Jinyuan said coldly, "The young Star Lord is just a woman. She has always been soft-hearted. Now, with my authority as a planet lord, I'll suppress these rebels. And you, Su Yin, you audacious thing. How dare you kill the deities of our sect just like that? I'll suppress you first." The Big Dipper bell suddenly shot out a terrifying beam of light, penetrating through layers of space and attacking Su Yan. This beam of light seemed very small, but it actually contained very perverse energy waves. Once one was injured by this kind of supreme treasure, they would either die or be seriously injured. Moreover, with Su Yan's current injuries, he couldn't afford to suffer too much. Swoosh! However, Yuan's movements were even faster. He brandished the blood-colored spear, and at the instant it arrived, the terrifying purgatory energy, emanating the aura of the Divine King, blasted towards Su Yan's Big Dipper Bell. The blood-colored spear trembled from the impact. Yuan's heart was greatly shaken. He felt that this was simply a supreme, divine weapon. The power was too astonishing. Even someone as strong as his blood-colored spear was trembling. The powerful force caused the web between Yuan's thumb and forefinger to split open. Roar! There was nothing to say. A monstrous radiance shot out from between bout-sized brows, burning with golden flames. The gigantic golden iron bull had awakened from its slumber. It was like a peerless demon, capable of overturning rivers and seas. Han Jinyuan's expression was very ugly. He didn't expect Tai Baokai to be so decisive, directly bringing out a great killing weapon to fight him. This way, Hokuto would definitely be thrown into chaos, and might even alarm the Old Star Lord who was in seclusion. Enough, all of you attack. A cold voice exploded, and an icy aura pervaded the air. The entire ancient star sea was trembling. Another old heavenly deity had come out of seclusion, his aura devouring the starry skies. He was boundlessly powerful and caused the sky to darken. The expert who had come out was draped in iron armor. Although he looked old, he was still very dignified. In his eyes, the sun and moon were sinking, and it was as if the heavens and earth were being split apart. It's the mountain guardian divine beast. There was a lot of discussion in Hokuto. One could faintly feel that this expert's body was emitting a terrifying heaven-devouring aura. This was a powerful life form that had been protecting Hokuto for countless years. The old divine beast, the previous generation's guardian divine beast. Tao Zhengyang and the others were astonished. They didn't expect the old divine beast to be in the race. This was Hokuto's guardian divine beast. Hokuto's old divine beast was usually adventuring in the primal chaos ruins. They guessed that the old Star Lord was injured and in seclusion, so the old divine beast had returned to Hokuto to oversee things. How deep was Hokuto's foundation? Even Star Element wasn't sure. After all, it was once a peak race. It was a mystery as to how many old ancestors were hibernating in the space-time hole. How many people are you going to alarm over such a small matter? The old divine beast was extremely angry. Once they started fighting, the matter would become serious. Many elders in Hokuto who were in seclusion would come out one after another. This was definitely not a good thing, because once they came out from the space-time hole, their lifespan would be depleted even faster. Old divine beast, Han Jinyuan said with a cold face. This kid killed the old Alcade Hall master and colluded with other experts to cause trouble in our race. We have no choice but to suppress him. I already know about this matter. The old divine beast said coldly. Don't cause any more trouble. Han Jinyuan, you should also stop. Han Jin's death back then was his own fault. He can't blame anyone else. Star Element and the others were pleasantly surprised. The old divine beast was going to protect Su Yan? What did you say? Han Jinyuan was furious. Although the divine beast was powerful, he wasn't afraid. After all, he had the Big Dipper Bell, which was one of the strongest foundations of the Big Dipper Star. As for Su Yan and your group, you have killed my sex god. This is a serious crime. The old divine beast looked at Su Yan and the others and said, although he attacked first, Su Yan, you were too heavy-handed. Hokuto can't tolerate you. Old divine beast, what do you mean by this? Tao Xingyang frowned and said, Su Yan is in seclusion in Hokuto. It was the old Star Lord's order. Don't use your master to pressure me. If the old Star Lord has an opinion, let him come out of seclusion to deal with this matter. The old divine beast said coldly, you guys can leave. Han Jinyuan, Stop causing trouble. No. Han Jinyuan held the Big Dipper bell and shook his head. He couldn't let Su Yin go. This was a great opportunity. If he handed Su Yin over to the Ancestral Hall, not only could he get 3 Divine King weapons, but he could also get other benefits. I think you're really confused, the old Divine Beast said coldly. Who is Su Yin? You should know very well that the Zhongyu clan came out and washed the starry ancient path with blood. One of the Divine King was almost killed by them. Do you think you can withstand the wrath of the Zhongyu clan? Have you forgotten the battle of the Big Dipper 100 years ago? Han Jinyuan's face was gloomy. He didn't deny the strength of the Zhongyu clan. If they knew that he was the one who handed Su Yin over to the Ancestral Hall, Han Jinyuan knew that his future wouldn't be easy. I don't care what you want to do, but Su Yin can't die in Hokuto. No matter what his fate is, he can't have anything to do with Hokuto. Let him go, and I won't ask about anything else. That should be fine, right? The old Divine Beast looked at Su Yin. At present, Su Yin's situation was very bad. Recovering from his injuries? Unless he could get some divine medicine, he wouldn't be able to live for long. If he persisted, his foundation would be greatly damaged, and he wouldn't be able to achieve anything in the future. Since this hot potato had no value, the old Divine Beast felt that Hokuto shouldn't continue to help Su Yin. Once this matter was leaked out, it would definitely cause a disaster for Hokuto. Han Jinyuan's heart was filled with excitement. He could take advantage of the time after they left to suppress them. Chapter 615. No, Su Yin can't leave Hokuto now. He was brought here by the Old Star Master, and it was also the Old Star Master who ordered us to take good care of Su Yin. Are you going to defy the orders of the Divine King? Tao Zhengyang and the rest instantly objected. Asking Su Yin to leave Hokuto now? That was too dangerous. Moreover, Su Yin's injuries were very serious, and he couldn't afford too much trouble. Asking him to leave now was the same as sending him to his death. Star Element and the rest were furious. They didn't expect the old Divine Beast to make such a decision. It must have seen Su Yan's current state and felt that Su Yan's potential had been crippled. There was no hope of recovery, so it made this decision. As for the Old Star Master, I'll explain it myself. I believe he knows the current situation in Hokuto and won't act rashly. The old Divine Beast said indifferently. If it was the old Su Yin, it would be worth considering, but the current Su Yin could only be treated with divine medicine. It wasn't worth considering at all. No one would take out a divine medicine to help Su Yin. Not even Hokuto. That won't do. It's too hasty. Su Yan's injuries are also very serious. Leaving now is the same as courting death. Many elders frowned. Chasing Su Yin away just like that was too unreasonable. This matter isn't up to you to decide. If you want to rebel, just say it. I can help you. The old Divine Beast and Han Jinyuan were 2 deities. One could control the Big Dipper Bell, while the other could control all the killing formations in Hokuto. Now that they had unified their statements, this matter was serious. The old Divine Beast felt that Su Yin wasn't worth Hokuto's efforts anymore. If it was time to give up, it should give up. After all, it felt that it wouldn't get anything in return. The 2 deities hovered high in the sky. Their intentions weren't too obvious. They were forcing Su Yin to leave now. Star Element and the rest were powerless. The 2 deities had unified their statements. Unless the Old Star Master came out of seclusion, no one could stop their will. Originally, Su Yan's actions on Big Dipper were hidden precisely because he was worried about such a problem. Now, Su Yin had almost perished during his tribulation, and now he was facing such a crisis. It was undeniable that he was somewhat unlucky. Forgive us for not being able to give up on Senior Brother in danger. I want to leave with Senior Brother. Now that eldest Senior Brother is in trouble, are you going to give up on him just like that? Forgive us for not being able to do that. However, they couldn't help but feel aggrieved and angry on Su Yin's. They couldn't just watch as Su Yin fell into danger. Their hearts were filled with resentment. If Su Yin left just like that, Han Jinyuan would definitely target Su Yin first. You juniors are really rebellious. You better reflect on yourselves. Are you Hokuto's disciples or members of the Burial Realms race? Han Jin Yuan laughed sinisterly. He suddenly raised a withered hand and swept Xing Jingfu and the rest away. The old divine beast only frowned but didn't stop them. Su Yin was in too much trouble. The old divine beast didn't think that Hokuto would bear such risks for a crippled star domain supreme. After all, the slightest carelessness could cause Hokuto to be consigned to eternal damnation. They couldn't afford to be careless. Damn, you speak as if we really want to stay here. Tai Baokai was furious. At the same time, he was also on guard. Han Jin Yuan had been staring at them with sinister eyes. This old bastard wants to target us after driving us away. This way, our life and death won't have much to do with Hokuto. What a good plan. Han Jin Yuan, that old bastard, will definitely make his move. Tai Baocai's eyes flashed with a cold light. Han Jin Yuan would definitely be the first to make his move. Now that they were being targeted by a heavenly god, and in Hokuto's territory, the situation was very dangerous. Let us out. We want to live and die with eldest senior brother. Xiao Wan and the rest roared angrily. They were all imprisoned in a dungeon. This was a dungeon specially used to imprison criminals. They didn't expect to be imprisoned here and found it hard to accept. Su Yin took a deep breath. He endured the pain in his body, stood up, and said slowly, "Brothers, there's no need to say anymore. I won't forget your friendship. No matter what happens in the future, I, Su Yin, will never forget you." Eldest senior brother, don't say that. Feng Xiaomu and the rest were jealous, but there was only a deep sense of powerlessness in their hearts. They were too weak and couldn't do anything now. Su Yin smiled bitterly. He didn't expect to be driven away. Originally, he was prepared to meet up with Bao Kai and the rest before leaving. Su Yin didn't plan to stay in Hokuto for long. Su Yin wanted to return to Earth. No matter what, there was still an expert alive in the Ancestral Hall. This was too dangerous for Earth. Before leaving, the first place Su Yin wanted to go to was the Yinyang Sky River. The Yinyang fish could definitely restore Su Yin to his peak and even make him stronger than before. Su Yin, if you really care about the friendship between you two, I hope that before you die, you can imprint a copy of the secret techniques and inheritances you learned and keep them. The Mizar Palace Master said in a sinister voice. His words were full of mockery. There is no doubt that the current Su Yin was no longer the madman Su who dominated the Divine Mountain Range. His weight couldn't be compared to before. Shameless. Yuan let out a low roar. Su Yin, let's go. If we leave Hokuto, we won't starve to death. Ha. Young man, your courage is commendable. If I'm not wrong, you are all wanted criminals. The Mizar Palace Master replied coldly. You wanted criminals? I hope you can live a few more days on the road to the end of the world. Looking at the vast universe, the peak forces were known throughout the world. If Su Yan's whereabouts were exposed, what awaited them would be hell and a nightmare. After all, the two peak forces wouldn't let the death of Yin Xian and Zhu Onbong go so easily. This was no longer the Divine Mountain Range, but outside, in the era where the peak forces ruled the universe. You don't have to worry about that. Humph, let's go. Yuan and the others quickly retreated, preparing to leave the Big Dipper Star region. They were really worried that this matter would be exposed and attract the experts of the Ancestral Hall and the Dark Underworld race. Even the Demon Realm would chase after them. Su Yin, the road ahead is dangerous. Don't be careful, the Mizar Palace Master said coldly. If you die, send back the news so that I can organize the disciples of my sect and burn more paper money for you. They didn't believe that Su Yin could be unharmed. With such serious injuries, if he hadn't obtained some divine medicine essence, he would have most likely died. However, those divine medicine essences couldn't have sustained Su Yan's injuries for too long. Old bastard, I'll be back. You won't be happy for too long. Su Yin clenched his fists. At the same time, he said worriedly, the Old Star Master's injuries should be very serious. I don't know when he'll come out of seclusion. I hope that Bamboo Moon can successfully break through. Sigh. Su Yin turned around and looked at the Big Dipper sect. During this period of time, he had experienced ups and downs. Now that he thought about it, he could only let out a long sigh. He also did not know what his physique was and why it was targeted by the vast myriad of tribulations. However, Su Yan's gains were also great. However, the prerequisite was that he had to get up and recover to the peak of the domain realm before he could obtain treasures. Han Jinyuan, do you really want to kill me that badly? Su Yan's cold eyes also noticed Han Jinyuan's sinister gaze. He was like an old poisonous snake, staring at Su Yan with a sinister smile. He wouldn't let go of this excellent opportunity. He would definitely make a move and capture Su Yan alive. What do we do now? This old bastard definitely won't let us leave so easily. Once we leave Hokuto, he will probably kill us. Yuan was very worried. Bao Kai might have a powerful killing weapon, but Han Jinyuan had the Big Dipper Bell. If an accident happened during the journey, it would be a fatal threat to them. Damn it, if this old bastard dares to kill us, I might not lose the treasures I have. When the time comes, I'll think of a way to kill him, Tai Bao Kai said fiercely. The golden iron ox statue floated in between its eyebrows, ready to explode with a terrifying killing intent at any time. This thing was obtained from Ox Village. They had even moved Ox Village away from the bipolar star. Bao Kai now had the protection of this statue. Even the Divine King would have a hard time suppressing them. We should think of a way to leave now and let brother Su Yan recuperate. Tensor was very worried. Su Yan's injuries were too serious. He could die at any moment. Hearing this, Su Yan said weakly, "You don't have to worry about me, and don't bother about this old bastard. If you want to capture us, it won't be that easy. Just give me some time, and I will be able to stand up." Not to mention that Su Yan was now the Big Dipper Supreme. With his attainments in the occult arts, he wasn't someone who could be found easily. Su Yan also couldn't leave the Big Dipper Star region. He had to go to the Enyang Galaxy to cultivate in seclusion. That's good. The universe is so big. Is there no place for us brothers to stay? That's right. At worst, we could just barge into the Chaos Ruins. Yuan and the others heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Su Yan could stand up in a short time, there wouldn't be a problem. 2 heavenly deities, can we at least send them off? Star Element and Tao Zhengyang glared angrily. The old divine beast and the others had suppressed this area and restricted their freedom. They didn't allow them to get close to Su Yan. Why are you wasting your breath on a dead man? What a waste of time. Han Jinyuan replied coldly. He didn't allow anyone to send them off. He wanted to erupt with a thunderous attack after Su Yan left. You guys are very good. I really want to see how you guys will explain things when the old Star Lord comes out of seclusion. Many elders were angry. No matter what, Su Yan's status was different. Even if he had provoked a great disaster, it was too unfair for Su Yan to be driven out like this. I will personally explain things. The old divine beast didn't mind and said coldly, I hope you guys remember that the Ancestral Hall isn't something we can provoke. We can't protect Su Yan, and you guys can't save him either. Rather than saying that he will die in Hokuto, it's better to let him fend for himself. Some elders were silent. Su Yan's injuries were too severe. Unless there were divine medicines to help him, they wouldn't be able to do so. However, even if they had divine medicines, they couldn't take them out. After all, a divine medicine was too important to a clan. If the clan's almighty reached the end of their lifespan, they could certainly live for a long time with a divine medicine. A divine medicine could continue a clan's inheritance. It was also an item that could extend the clan's fortune. Hokuto's elders knew that they couldn't let Su Yan recover. Poor Su Yan. Some elders sighed and supported the old divine beast's decision. Although the process was too cruel, it was decisive. If he had to leave, then so be it. How can this fly escape from this old man's palms? How is that possible?